CJET 101.1 FM in Smiths Falls and the Valley. Number 1 for local news, traffic, and weather for Ottawa and the Valley. This is City News 101.1 everywhere.
It's 10 o'clock. Good morning. I'm Perushka Gopal-Kista. Right now in Ottawa, 20 degrees, partly cloudy. Smiths Falls, also 20. Here's what's making news right now. Transit officials expected to announce more details about the work required to get the trains back on the tracks. Details on the risk assessment report due today. Now, that's from the engineering firm hired by RTG. OC Transpo saying the report should outline the risk profile associated with a number of different factors. Now, while we wait for that update that's expected later today, in the meantime, paratranspo riders can now take an express bus from Blair to Tunney's. Now, this is into the additional R1 buses. General Manager Renee Amilcar, she's the General Manager of OC Transpo, saying that while all buses are accessible, the express paratranspo bus, this is in addition, and this is temporary service as well.
Customer can book this service the same day by calling 613-560-5000.
Now, the new service will not be using existing buses, but additional resources that the service called in for. A couple of overnight fires in the nation's capital. The first one downtown in a row house just before 11 p.m. Multiple 911 callers reporting smoke and flames in the structure, which spread to the adjoining units. That one was on Wilbrod Street near Friel. It took about 5 hours to get that fire under control, and 25 people were displaced in that fire. City News time, it's 10:01. Now, taking a look at your weather for today, let's get the latest from City News weather specialist Denise Andriachi.
25 is our guaranteed high. It's pretty seasonal today, but we do have the risk for strong storms this afternoon and evening. So that's not to say that it's all day unsettled, because it's not. It's just the risk is pretty much hanging out all day across Ottawa and Smiths Falls. If you hear thunder, get inside. Some showers overnight and still a bit unsettled to start the day tomorrow. Then we'll have some sunny breaks to wrap up Friday and welcome the weekend. Sun and cloud for Saturday, seasonal near 25. Our guaranteed high today, 25.
Right now in Ottawa, 21 degrees, partly cloudy, feeling more like 27. Smiths Falls right now, 20 degrees. After snapping their 5-game losing streak at home, the Jays are a win away from splitting their series with the best in their division. With the latest, here's our Vrajesh Dave.
About 24 hours after Bo Bichette was being called day-to-day with knee inflammation, he's been placed on the team's 10-day IL with patellar tendonitis, so newcomer Paul DeYoung could have a heavy workload to make up for him. He played his first for Toronto yesterday. The Jays routing the AL East leading Orioles 4-1 last night. Yusei Kikuchi looked solid, allowing 6 hits over 6 innings for wins in back-to-back starts. Sportsnet's Shai Davidi.
He really set the tone. He was aggressive against the Orioles. He was attacking them. He had them off balance.
George Springer also ended his slump without a hit. He had an RBI single. The Jays capitalizing on 3 walks and 2 bases loaded hit by pitches. So Toronto gets a critical win against another AL East team, now 8-22 against teams in their own division. One more shot this afternoon with Baltimore to improve to a 2-7 record against the Orioles. You can catch it on Sportsnet. Vrajesh Dave, City News.
And I'm Perushka Gopal-Kista. For news anytime, follow up online at ottawa.citynews.ca.
Connecting you and your community. This is the Sam Laprade Show on City News
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Well, thank you so much for joining us here on City News. We have a jam-packed show for you today. Chris Day and Greg McEachran are going to join us a little bit later to talk about some federal politics news. We're also going to be speaking about that proposed development on Carling Avenue, right across from, of course, the agricultural area there on Carling. We wanted to have an opportunity to talk about that, the farm, which we all love and treasure. There's some challenges that that people are bringing up if there was to be a couple of big towers built there. So we want to get into that as well. I wanted to have a conversation right off the top today with David Phillips, senior climatologist with Environment Canada. Hello, David.
Hey, Sam. Nice to join you.
Nice to join you. I'm a little bit blurry-eyed this morning because I was woken up by thunder around 1 a.m. Hard to get back to sleep after that, David.
Yeah, now I think at the airport we had about around 5 o'clock, but hey, it may have been earlier in your community, but about 5 o'clock certainly there was light rain shower and a thunderstorm, and visibility dropped right from 24 right down to 13. So there was a moment there where because of the rain, the winds had got up to a 42, gusting up about 42 kilometers per hour. So hey, that was kind of expected. It was the warm front moving through. We were getting a classic kind of today warm front, cold front situation. And earlier today we had the warm front, and that's the situation pretty well. Now, not really warm, I mean, but hey, relative to the atmosphere, temperatures today, 25 degrees, which is about normal, maybe 1 degree cooler than normal, but still the atmosphere compared to the surrounding and the upper is warmer, more humid. And but then the second half of that massive low pressure system moving into Ontario, Quebec, is the cold front. And of course, Sam, that is always a concern, because when does that occur? If it occurs at the peak afternoon, like 4, 5, 6 o'clock, well, it just is more kind of action that happens. You've got that air is probably the warmest, it peaks, and the humidity for the day, and then you come that cold front, what undercuts it. It's sort of like putting ingredients into a bowl or a blender, and then you turn the blender on, and then of course that really give you a mix and rotation, and boy, that's when wild weather can break out. We don't have a warning or a watch out yet for Ontario, probably about noontime for Eastern Ontario. I see them in on the Quebec side with a watch for severe thunderstorms this afternoon. That's for the Pontiac, Upper Gatineau, Laurentians area, but hey, it's coming to the Ottawa Valley. There's no doubt about it. And of course, the talk is about the torrential rain, the hail, nickel to baseball-sized hail, strong winds. That's always seems to go part and parcel with that kind of severe thunderstorm. But Sam, I mean, there's always that. You can't rule out tornadoes with severe thunderstorms. You look up there and you see some clouds rotating, and that doesn't always happen. It doesn't really often happen, but boy, it does happen. And we've already seen it in July. Should have been a good indication of that. We had very wet month, about 55% more precipitation than normal, a lot of wet days. Precipitation was, again, heavy at times, and a lot of it was brought in thunderstorms, and some of those occurred in that time, that precious, crucial time of the day. And of course, today I think it's just a little bit more anxious, because it is during rush hour, but it's the getaway weekend. People get away for the long weekend on Thursday, and so there's going to be a little bit more activity and people wanting to get away. Well, hey, maybe they should just delay it a little bit. It's going to go on. The risk of thunderstorms is really right through to the evening and gets lesser towards midnight, and tomorrow just a little bit of a lingering kind of thunderstorm. But hey, it's going to be there. You're not going to miss it. It's just that how dynamic and how action it will be.
People are just a little bit more nervous, David, yes. I think, about the weather than we have been, especially here in the Ottawa area with a couple of very serious situations over the last number of weeks. So I wanted to bring you on today and just sort of share a little bit about the weather and a little bit about what people can be expecting.
Well, Sam, it's good to be alerted to that and just keep an eye on the sky. It shouldn't ruin your day, but it's a matter of just keeping family and friends safe, and you do that by being a weather watcher and we have great respect for weather people in the Ottawa area, and your experience with it, and we've seen that in July. And my gosh, it's kind of interesting. June was all about the smoke, and July was all about the precipitation. I think there were just too many days with rain to actually have any smoke. And so it's been kind of well, the temperatures have been kind of lukewarm this summer. But my gosh, it's not. You haven't been without any weather. That's for sure.
Absolutely. Always appreciate your time. You're always so great to come on and talk about all things weather. I appreciate it very much. David Phillips, senior climatologist with Environment Canada, joining us, and I appreciate it very much. Thanks, David.
Thank you, Sam. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. I just received some very big news. Very big news, and we wanted to share it here. This is exciting news. Sometimes when we have breaking news, it's not great news, but it is exciting news. So exciting that I brought the one and only Parushka Golubkiska in studio today. Parushka, this is very big news we want to share with everybody. Rogers Communications has announced today it is proud to present the one and only Taylor Swift.
I stay out too late. Got nothing in my brain. That's what people say.
Okay, here we go. We're going to give you all the details. Are you excited?
I am. So this is like a lot of people were mad because she wasn't coming to Canada initially. She had her world tour or whatever, and people were like, why is she not coming to Canada?
Right.
So now,
she's coming.
She's coming to Toronto, and this is gonna be a 6 shows in Toronto only.
Yes.
Starting November 14th at the Rogers Centre, November 14th, 15th, 16th, and then 21, 22, and 23.
Okay, that's amazing.
That's amazing.
That's amazing. So
Yep.
the Rogers Centre in Toronto,
Yep.
Rogers Communications. Okay, I couldn't be prouder to work for Rogers Radio right now. Of course, City News, Rogers Radio, of course, Rogers
Yep.
Communications is our parent company. City News, so excited to share this news. We just got it hot off the wire.
We did.
We heard some rumblings. There was going to be some really big news. I didn't think it was going to be this big,
I
though.
didn't think it was going to be big either. I thought it was going to be something, maybe someone else coming to Canada, but
Yeah.
you know, this is
huge.
Huge.
And listen, Taylor Swift, huge name, obviously, but what she has done in the
Yep.
last 48 hours, giving $55 million to the people that have worked this Eras tour, it just speaks to her professionalism. It speaks to her heart. That made my day. I thought that was going to be huge news. The fact she's coming to Toronto, Rogers Communications bring her. It's the best news.
It is, and I think it's going to be sold out. First of all, tickets go on sale.
Yes.
It's good. Like people are just. I hope though that like Ticketmaster will get their get everything in order. But
For sure. And what's been really great, because I did try to purchase tickets for her show in Amsterdam.
Okay, yep.
And so it is a 2-step process.
Okay,
So
yep.
they are doing that, and as much as it's a little bit of a, you're kind of like, I just want to get the tickets, it makes you feel better that there is a process and that it's not going to be, scalpers buying 500 tickets or something.
It's
so this
more
is
secure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you're usually limited to 4 tickets or something. Very exciting. If you're just joining us, Taylor Swift is coming to Toronto. Rogers Centre, Rogers Communications, very, very proud to announce today, just seconds ago, that Taylor Swift, the Eras Tour, is coming to Canada. Swift will perform November 14th, 15th, 16th, November 21st, 22nd, 23rd at the Rogers Centre in Toronto, making her the first artist to perform 6 shows at the stadium, still breaking barriers.
It is.
Wonderful.
And it's incredible. And the fact that, you spoke about that earlier, that she, donated money to people that were involved in her tour. It's like, what else is she going to do next?
Absolutely. What is she going to do? Very, very proud to announce Rogers Communications announcing today that Taylor Swift is coming to Rogers Centre in Toronto. We are going to shake it off here a little bit with Taylor Swift on City News.
That's what they don't see. I'm dancing on my own. Make the moves up as I go. And that's what they don't know. That's what they don't know. But I keep cruising. Can't stop, won't stop grooving. It's like I got.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Every year, dozens of Canadians are killed or seriously injured because they take risks around railway tracks. Talk to your loved ones about rail safety. Visit stoptracktragedies.ca.
Hello, I'm Jim Deeks, host of Canada Files. I hope you'll join me each week for interesting and informative discussions with some of Canada's most impressive people.
Online betting is booming. Booyah! Woo! Oh yeah! You can win big! But you could also lose. There is risk with online gambling, and that's a reality nobody's shouting about. Learn about safer play at knowtherisks.ca.
Ani, I'm Carolyn King, and I'm a member of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation and the creator of the Moccasin Identifier. Philip Cote, an artist in Toronto here, took and redrew real moccasins. We're starting over with the children. The idea is that they would research whose land their school is built on, near, or what treaty area they're in. And the educational kit that we have has all that information in there. And the children just, love it. My dream is that this province will be covered with moccasin identifiers within the next decade, and they will forever know whose land they're on. That's the goal. Educate and awareness with a nice, simple little program called the Moccasin Identifier.
For 25 years, you've been helping to make our roads safer by doing the right thing. You've been the designated driver, you've stayed over, called home, you've called a cab or a friend, and planned ahead. Let's keep doing the right thing. Support sober driving by getting yourself and your friends home safely.
Do the right thing.
Visit ArriveAlive.org to find out more. Arrive Alive. Drive sober.
Rogers TV presents a series of original creative stories animated by storytellers for children of all ages. Join us for Ottawa Storytellers.
It's a new season of The New Fly Fisher on Rogers TV.
The Sam Laprade Show continues on City News.
1011 FM and 1310 AM.
Thank you so much for spending time with us here on City News. If you're just joining us, we just made a pretty big announcement. A very exciting announcement, actually. Rogers Communications is so proud to announce that Taylor Swift, the Eras Tour, is coming to Canada. Coming to Rogers Centre November 14th, 15th, 16th, November 21st, 22nd, 23rd. Once again, Rogers Centre in Toronto for 6 shows. She's the first artist to perform 6 shows. Very, very exciting times. And we'll give you all the information as we find out about ticket sales and all that good stuff. So you want to stay with us here. Of course, Rogers is the parent company of this radio station. I wanted to spend some time today with Pascal Michel. Hello, Pascal.
Hello, how are you?
Good. Pascal is the Director General for Ontario-Quebec Region of Agriculture and Agri-Food Canada. One of the reasons we're chatting today, Pascal, is the proposed development on Carling Avenue of a couple of towers and the effect that it would have on the experimental farm. Talk to me a little bit about this.
Yeah, so as we are aware, there's potential towers both on Carling's, and actually there's another one both on Baseline. And for us, the shadow that is cast onto the land matters a lot in terms of what can we do with this land. And as you know, the Central Experimental Farm has different mandate. We're very proud of this. This is very significant for Canada, both from a historical, cultural, and scientific perspective. But it does affect, in our perspective, the science that we can conduct here.
And so give us a sense of these towers. My understanding is Taggart Realty Management is applying to increase the limit heights at 1081 Carling Avenue to build 16 and 27 story towers west of the Ottawa Civics hospital campus there. So the shadows that you're speaking about, and anyone that's ever lived in a home and then had something built near there knows what the impact is. It's actually it's quite a strong impact, especially if you're trying to grow during a season that would be quite tight for us normally.
Yeah, there's two things to understand there is that the shadow is casting quite deep into the land. When the sun is actually a little bit more down at the morning and at night, the shadow casts very, very far. So it's a matter of lightning and so less light and it disturb, when can we seed and how is the plant harvesting and maturing and all of this. But again, I'm stressing the point that these are experimental research field and we need to have condition that mimics normal, field conditions across Canada. This is where the research is being applied, and that kind of disturbance. It brings basically the representativeness of the research land here. It's going to really be a barrier for us to interpret the data for farmers across Canada.
And I understand there's also some issues regarding noise. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Not to my appreciation about noise. It's about the light and it's about the soil moisture. Different light and things. And so the soil is affected, the plants are affected, and the ability to do the research. So we do research. For example, we breed new type of crops that are quite adapt to climate change, for example. So the crop that we want to use in the future, resistant to droughts, resistant to pests, resistant to high heat, is actually done in centers such as here. And this is the type of research that we are talking about that would be negatively affected.
Mm-hmm. And it's interesting because there has been some sort of drawings to sort of show how far those shadows would be cast over the farm. It is actually really shocking when you see what the implications are. I think it's hard for maybe the people that don't work in this sector, Pascal, to sort of understand it. But as I look at the diagram here, it's quite impressive to see the shadow that's cast there and the impact, of course, that you spoke about.
Yes, of course, and not only the field, but also we have a permanent installation, the greenhouses, and it will cast shadows over there. So it's a huge. So the land is over 400 hectares. It's a big land, the shadow that casts over there, it's quite significant for us. And so we just wanted for everyone to understand and appreciate that this is real science. This is stuff that really help the farmers across Canada to be more tooled for the productivities and sustainability of the future. And this is happening right at the heart of Ottawa, but it has a national impact.
And I think, Pascal, and I'll just speak for myself, I think sometimes we take that experimental farm for granted because it is an incredibly special part of the city. And I find it's only when people move to the city or if I'm sharing, the city with somebody and touring them around and they say, well, how come you've got a farm in the middle of the city? People really respect it when they realize, why it's been there, the history of it. It really is special, but sometimes we do take it for granted.
It is true, and we're proud that the citizens are well engaged. And there's a museum on site, and there's many different things to do. It is proudly something that has a very historical value to all of us. And so we're proud to say that citizens are well engaged into what's happening at the farm. They arboretum. But again, for the most part, you walk into the land there if you cross the road here and you see agricultural fields. And so that's really what is at the heart of of our worries this morning is that our ability to carry out that research and for citizens to be engaged. So Agriculture and Agri-Food Canada is the custodian of this land. We're quite happy to discuss, use of this land with the citizens, with stakeholders, with our federal partners, and we just want to people understand very much how important the mandate is that we have here.
So are you hoping that no towers built there, or is it the height of it that concerns you?
Well, I mean, at this point, it's a technical assessment that we've done, and the height matters a lot. We're not in the business of telling anyone how high this could be or where it should be. But obviously, when you look at a map, there's placement of those potential development that will have less impact. Of course, the lesser the height, the lesser of the impact as well. So we're committed to discuss with those potential approaches with anyone who would like to discuss with us.
It really is an important issue. I appreciate you bringing it to my attention. I have to tell you before I let you go that when I was a little girl, my grandpa used to tell me that he owned that farm, and I believed him, Pascal. For many, many years. And then my mom finally had to say, your grandfather does not own that farm. But it was a little joke that he played on me when I was a kid. So I always think so fondly about the farm, and I've brought my daughter there to experience everything as well. And it really is a treasure in our city.
Thank you. So when now being a federal facility, every Canadian owns a little bit of that farm, and so that's how proud we are of the Central Experimental Farm here.
Oh, that's beautiful. I'm glad you shared that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Pascal Michel joining us today, Director General for the Ontario-Quebec region of Agriculture and Agri-Food Canada. Okay, are you just joining us? I don't know if you've heard the big news or not, but I want to share it again. Very exciting. Rogers Communications has announced just minutes ago that it is proud to present Taylor Swift. Yes, you heard that right. Taylor Swift, the Eras Tour is coming to Canada. Swift will perform 6 shows. 6 shows only, November 14th, 15th, and 16th, November 21st, 22nd, and 23rd at the Rogers Centre in Toronto. These tickets will go so quickly, which is wonderful. So many people hoping to see Taylor. She's coming to Canada, everybody. She's going to make her the first artist to perform 6 shows at the stadium. That just speaks to how popular she is. Of course, Rogers is the parent company of this radio station here at City News. This is the first time Taylor Swift will perform in Canada since her 2018 Reputation Stadium tour, which we're looking forward to seeing her here. Rogers will offer its customers and fans a chance to win tickets to see Taylor Swift, so we're looking forward to that. More details on obviously any contests that we have and any ticket sales we'll share here on City News. So that's very exciting. It's always fun here on City News to announce some good news. When we come back, we're going to have a chance to speak with a doctor in regards to divorce. We're going to speak with a representative from the Ottawa Centre for Resilience. We're also going to speak with Graham Fallis. He talks to us about all things finance. We're getting ready for a very busy lunch as well today. We're also going to speak with Greg McEachran and Chris Day regarding some federal politics. Stay with us here on City News.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
October 5th, 2014, my daughter was hit by a train. She was walking along the sides of the tracks, and it shattered her world.
Think it's okay to drive high? Think again. Drug-impaired driving is as illegal as drunk driving, and in Ontario, the penalties are the same. If police suspect you're driving under the influence of drugs of any kind, or a combination of drugs and alcohol, and you fail a roadside test, your license will be suspended immediately for up to 30 days. You'll pay a penalty of $198. And you can be charged with a criminal offense of impaired driving, the same as alcohol. Driving high is never okay.
Do you have something to share? Let everyone know about your next meeting, your need for volunteers, or your fundraising event on the Rogers TV Community Billboard. Send us your words and we'll bring them to life on Rogers TV and rogerstv.com. When it's time to spread the word, go to rogerstv.com to add your announcement to the Community Billboard.
Play 4 games of bingo from the comfort of your own home each Monday at 7 p.m. for your chance to win money from our $2,000 regular bingo or $5,000 super bingo night. Kiwanis TV Bingo, Mondays at 7 p.m. on Rogers TV.
Bum, 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 bum. $20. $20. We're on the line for $20.
Number 1 for local news, traffic, and weather for Ottawa and the Valley. This is City News 1011 everywhere.
It's 10:30. Good morning. It is August 3rd. I'm Perushka Gopal-Kista. Right now in Ottawa, 21 degrees, mostly cloudy. Smith Falls, also 21. Here's what's making news right now. Now we have some breaking news from the world of music. The one and only Taylor Swift coming to Canada this November for her Eras tour. Now she will be performing in Toronto's Rogers Centre from November 14th to the 16th and then November 21st to the 23rd. Now, fans can go to Ticketmaster on August 5th to get tickets, but those tickets start to go on sale Wednesday, August 9th. Now, once again, superstar Taylor Swift bringing her world tour to Canada, and she will be performing in Toronto starting on November 14th. Now, thousands of BC port workers will be tasked with voting today and tomorrow on a deal that could bring an end to the province's long-running port labor dispute. The International Longshore and Warehouse Union Canada met yesterday to discuss the latest deal and announced jointly with the Maritime Employers Association on Sunday. The union had voted down a previous agreement a week ago, leading to Federal Labour Minister on Saturday directing the Canada Industrial Relations Board to impose an agreement if it finds a negotiated deal to be out of reach. City News Time, it's 10:32. Now, transit officials expected to announce more details about the work that's required to get the O train back on track. Details on the risk assessment report due today. Now, that's from the engineering firm hired by RTG. OC Transpo saying the report should outline the risk profile associated with a number of different factors. Now, we are expected to get another update from OC Transpo later this afternoon. I'm Perushka Gopal-Kista. For news anytime, follow up online at ottawa.citynews.ca.
The Sam Laprade Show continues on City News
1011 FM and 1310 AM.
Thank you so much for spending time with us here on City News. I wanted to connect today with Dr. Milsey Fortunato, and this is in regards to divorce. I wanted to have a conversation about this today from the Ottawa Centre for Resilience. Hello, Doctor.
Hello, how are you doing today?
Good. I appreciate you spending time with us. We know the big announcement yesterday coming from Sophie and Justin Trudeau that they have decided to separate. They've decided to make this announcement publicly. I don't really want to speak about that family. That family and what happens within that family is their business. And but I did think it was important to have a conversation, to be honest, about separation and divorce. We know certainly through the pandemic, many families have made the decision to separate or divorce, and it's been obviously been happening for decades. But my first sort of thoughts are always about the children, Doctor. Is that the way that we should be thinking about this?
Absolutely. I think that it's very important to consider how the divorce is going to impact the kids, because not only it has an immediate effect on their lives, but it also affects them throughout their life.
Absolutely. I will just be honest with you. I've been divorced twice, so I've collected husbands. So this is in both instances, my very first call. Certainly, my daughter was very very young. She was only 3 when our first divorce, when I had a first divorce. And my very first call was to a child psychologist because I wanted to kind of understand there was going to be 2 different houses. There was going to be, a division of time and all of that. That was probably one of the best things I ever did. I have to say, I mean, it was a very challenging time, but that was the best thing because it gave not only myself tips on sort of how to navigate her through this time, but it also allowed me to talk to somebody and really focus not on the relationship, but focus on my daughter.
Absolutely. This is such a stressful time to go through. Not only you're dealing with your own emotions and your own grief about the end of a relationship, the end of a dream that you have about how the family was going to go and the relationship was going to go, but also now putting that feelings, like working through those feelings, but also putting the feelings and the emotions of your kids forefront. So to do that, it's very hard, very difficult. So definitely seeking the help of a professional to guide you through that, how to talk to the kids and how to, like, what you should be looking for and things of that sort is extremely important for the health of the family and for the child as well, and your own as a parent.
100%. And I think, too, it takes some of the emotions away from the relationship side of it and both parents, focusing on the child. Can I ask you to talk to me a little bit about what it would be like to sort of share information like this with children, let's say from a toddler through to maybe 5 or 6, and then maybe from 6 to 12, and then, maybe 12 to 16. How different are those conversations that we would be having with our children at those different stages of life?
Well, they, like you mentioned, they're different conversations depending on the age of the child, and everything has to be very age appropriate, right? The goal is to be as honest as you can and as open as you can, but then as well as age appropriate as you can. So for a toddler and a 6 years old, for all of the kids, actually, I think like the most important thing is to focus on the relationship and that they are safe, and then that it was none of their fault, because sometimes kids tend to feel like it's their fault, right? So letting them understand that the relationship is still there, it's still intact, you're still their mom, and dad is still going to be dad, and you're still going to be family, and that, like I said, it was none of their fault, and you're still a family. I think like that's the most important information and message to give to all of the kids, regardless of their age. But then as a 6-year-old or like a toddler to that age would interpret things, then you have to be very matter of fact, right? Very simple. It's like mommy's not going to be at the house anymore, or dad is not going to be at the house anymore, and then very matter of fact on how life is going to look like and things are going to be. That's usually their main concern, right? House and safety and relationships. Now for older kids, right, around after 6 until like 10 or 11, then you can focus more on that matter of fact or those facts information, but you also focus a lot on the relationship as well, and their importance in the family, their place in the family, and then how important their relationship with each parent is. And then after that, for teenagers, they are able to pick up more on like nuances of what's happening and the causes, and you don't necessarily have to tell everything how you're feeling, but they're usually going to be more in tune about different understanding the nuances of relationships and how things sometimes do not work, and it's totally okay to have a relationship that does not work, but this is how you move forward, or this is how you still can be respectful and have a harmonious relationship with another partner, even though that relationship did not work. So yeah, always keeping the developmental minds in mind when you're giving the information, and that doesn't necessarily mean that's the only conversation that you have. As they age, then you can definitely update the information that you give and the things that you share with the kid.
Mm-hmm. Really interesting. And I remember back to when, she was quite small. She was sort of 3.5. And when we went to bring her to the child psychologist, one of the things that the psychologist did with her is she got on the floor with her and she had these two sort of playhouses and she had a couple of cars and she had little figures of people. And she said, tell me how you get from one house to the other. And so it became talking about sort of from a play perspective that my daughter was sort of Avery was able to sort of share from her perspective on what was happening. And she also gave me great tips that, because she was quite young, like that we would go and find the new mailbox together. And we would, just kind of make it kind of an adventure, if you will, discovering the house for the first time and inviting her dad into the house. And, all of those pieces I thought were wonderful pieces of advice, and I valued them so much. I just, because of the news yesterday, that's such public news, I did think that, everybody could benefit from that kind of advice.
Oh, absolutely. Like you mentioned, especially like after COVID, the divorce rates have increased. So it's definitely an opportunity for us to talk about those things and revisit the important things that can take place in a situation like that.
Well, I really appreciate your time. Dr. Milsey Furtado joining us today, neuropsychologist and supervised practice with the Ontario Centre for Resilience. Thanks so much for spending time with us on City News.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it very much. Lots coming for us today, but if you're just joining us, I want to make sure you haven't missed the big exciting news. Rogers Communications announced maybe about a half an hour ago that they were so proud to present Taylor Swift. Yes, you heard that right. Taylor Swift is coming to Canada. I mean, the Prime Minister was even asking her to come. So this is very, very big news. The Eras Tour arrives in Canada with Taylor Swift performing on 6 different dates. So get your pen ready. Here's the 6 dates. November 14th, 15th, and 16th. November 21st, 22nd, and 23rd. She will be the first artist to perform 6 shows at the stadium. She is just breaking barriers all across the globe. We're so happy to see her come to Canada, of course, come to Toronto. Those tickets will go in about a heartbeat. We're going to share all the information on how to get tickets. Very exciting as well, because City News, Rogers Communications is our parent company. So we will be having some contests here. We've got lots of different stations here. We've got, of course, KISS as well. KISS FM, of course, one of our great stations here, 105.3. I'm sure they'll be doing some contesting as well. We're going to be following up on any contests that we hear about that you can become part of. All that great ticket information as well. We'll share all of those details. But we wanted to give you the big news today that Taylor Swift is coming. She's bringing the Eras Tour. It's going to mark the first time that Taylor has performed in Canada since the 2018 Reputation Stadium Tour. So very, very exciting. Rogers Centre will be the place to be November 14th, 15th, 16th, November 21st, 22nd, and 23rd. Very, very exciting time. We've got lots coming for you. Stay with us on City News.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Every year, dozens of Canadians are killed or seriously injured because they take risks around railway tracks. Talk to your loved ones about rail safety. Visit stoptracktragedies.ca.
Hello, I'm Jim Deeks, host of Canada Files. I hope you'll join me each week for interesting and informative discussions with some of Canada's most impressive people.
Hello, I'm Liz Dowdswell, Lieutenant Governor of Ontario. In 2008, carbon monoxide, a deadly invisible gas, killed an entire family in our province. That tragedy led to a new law requiring homes with potential CO sources to have alarms. John Gignac's family members passed away that day, and he shares his story to save others.
Please make sure you have working CO alarms in your home. Protect your family today.
I'm Derek Fage, and I encourage you to join me each and every weekday at 2 p.m. for an edition of Daytime Ottawa. We will share with you some fabulous stories, inspirational stories, and of course, recipes from local chefs. We'll tell you about some wonderful musical performances, introduce you to local businesses and charities, and so much more. Join us here on Daytime Ottawa at 2 p.m. weekdays with repeats at 6 and 11 p.m.
Hey everybody, my name is Karen. I'm here with my best friends Shane and Monique. Join us on Rogers TV for Fitness Faction. Every week we're going to take you through a full body workout. We've got strength training, we've got cardio, we've got HIIT. Ladies, let's get back into it.
I think we've got 10 more skaters. Let's go.
After a night out with your friends, not having a plan for a safe ride home can leave you in a bad spot. You could end up riding in a police car, an ambulance, or a hearse. These unplanned modes of transportation can be a costly choice and do not take you home. Your plan could include a designated driver, a taxi, or public transit. Drink responsibly, choose your ride, and have a plan for a safe ride home.
Visit arrivealive.org to find out more.
Rogers TV presents a series of original creative stories animated by storytellers for children of all ages. Join us for Ottawa Storytellers.
It's a new season of the new Fly Fisher on Rogers TV.
Laprade Show continues on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
And we're back on City News. Thank you so much for spending time with us. I wanted to get caught up today with Graham Fallis. Hi, Graham.
Hi, Sam. How are you?
Good. Graham is a senior wealth advisor with Scotia Wealth. And it's so interesting because we talk all things finance when you and I get together. I always learn something from you. And when we think about, we sort of get our financial house in order. Is it good enough to kind of go, okay, I got all that done, and now you sort of throw those statements in a drawer and think about other things? Or is this something that we kind of have to maintain, if you will?
Yeah, that's a great question. Unfortunately, no, you can't throw things in a drawer. But what you can do is, we've encouraged everyone, go do a financial plan, find your number, work towards achieving your number. Once you've got there, you should congratulate yourself, and you can have a sigh of relief because you should feel a lot less stress knowing that you and your family are going to be okay. But you do need to maintain and monitor things. You have to be aware of the financial world and all the stresses and strains and constant change that are happening.
Mm-hmm. Now, I've heard you use this term before, and I want to take a bit of a deeper dive. What is the holy grail of investing, Graham?
Okay, so that is the ultimate. Once you've done your financial plan, once you know your number, once you've achieved your number, the holy grail of investing is structuring your investments such that you have more income being generated than you are spending. And if you do that, what's going to happen is you are going to continue to improve and enhance your financial security. And so simply put, you want to have more coming in than you have going out. Same concept as if when you're working, except now your investments are doing the work for you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that makes sense. So, when I think about all things finance, sometimes I'll be honest with you, I've shared this with you before, I get a little bit nervous. Mm-hmm. And so when I think about investing, I sometimes don't know where to go, and I hear a few of these terms, especially being thrown around, that I feel like maybe I don't fully understand. So is that why we're leaning on?
That's exactly what we do. We help people that either find this a little challenging or confusing, or they don't have interest, or they don't have time. And that's what all professionals like myself do. We focus on helping educate, or if you truly don't have the interest, I don't change the oil in my car. So someone else does that for me. They're an expert in it. They do it. Could I learn to do it? yeah, I don't really have an interest in doing it. And so for all of us in all aspects of our life, there's certain things we have an interest in doing and have a skill set to do. Others we ask other people to do, and that's what financial advisors are here to do. Financial planners are here to do on the finance side of things.
No, it really makes sense. And when we think about investing and looking for sort of not putting your eggs in one basket, we hear that over and over again. Give us a sense of some of the examples in terms of investing that we can maybe take away with us today.
Yeah, so not putting your eggs in one basket means you have to have a variety of investments based on, and this is specific to each individual, based on what you think your needs are going to be. You don't want to have everything in a long-term investment and find that, oh my goodness, I have an emergency situation and I need some immediate cash today, and you don't have access to it. You don't want to have everything in one company, and that company all of a sudden gets themselves in difficulty, and you find that your net worth has increased significantly.
Well, and I think about a company like Kodak, for instance, right? You think back to the days where, that was a pretty good investment. Well, they didn't keep up with the times, and now we're all taking pictures on our phone. Very, very rarely are we mailing in a little, remember those little canisters you used to mail in and get your pictures back? Yeah. Right. So a company like that, which you thought was a pretty big company, times changed and they wouldn't be as valuable now.
That's correct, and we can look within the city. Nortel had a huge impact for many residents because it was a big employer and the darling of the stock market for a while. Things do shift, and to your point earlier, can I just forget about these things? No, you have to be aware of what is happening in the world. But the idea of finding your number and achieving it means you shouldn't actually need to worry in the same way. Most people, if they don't know how much they need, are worrying, am I going to be okay or am I not going to be okay? And to be quite frank, we talked about this before, I've yet to come across somebody whose financial situation is actually as bad as they think. I've yet to find somebody that can't achieve their number. It can sometimes take a lot of work, a lot of effort, changing things around, but people can get there. The key is let's avoid the shame and the discomfort and the embarrassment sometimes of asking someone for help.
Yeah, and it's that first step. Right. And we've talked about it. We sort of broke, which I loved, by the way. We broke down sort of the different times of life and the conversations and thought patterns that you should be having regarding your finances. That was really valuable for me at 52. I mean, I obviously have had conversations and have been saving for a while in different forms, but to kind of feel, okay, I'm at 52. It doesn't mean that because I'm not maybe as advanced as my neighbor in terms of investing that it's all over, that I shouldn't keep trying or I shouldn't reach out for help. I mean, everybody's at different stages at different times of their life, and even people that are heading into their 80s, it's not too late to sort of say, okay, how do I want to make sure I manage my money here?
This is like healthy eating. This is like exercise. It's never too late until it is too late.
Right.
So if you have that feeling in the middle of the night or in the middle of the day, I have this worry, that's a cue. You probably should be paying attention to that feeling. At 52, Sam, not everyone can get to this holy grail of investing. Okay, everybody should be able to get to their number with work and effort, but ultimately, if your financial security is only going to get better and better and better if you focus on these things, and in particular, once we get to drawing money out of a portfolio, focusing on cash flow management and income. And I can't stress that enough. If you're at home and you're worried about these things, you can reach out to, there's plenty of financial advisors in this city. Please reach out to one of them. They would be delighted to help you with this stuff. That's what they do.
That's wonderful. And you've always give us some great advice. And to think about companies that have done continuous sort of positive yields over the years, that's something to also ask about. What companies have shared over the years that, that can benefit you as you continue to invest or maybe start to invest for the very first time?
Yeah, so thank you for bringing it up. That's a very, very important thought point, and we might want to delve into that in more details. Focusing on companies that pay dividends. Simply put, a dividend is a little payment that goes to an investor each month, each quarter, each year. Because you're a shareholder in a company, you get preferential tax treatment. And I'm not telling people to go buy these companies. You need to talk to a professional about whether it makes sense for you. But there are companies like Fortis, an electrical utility company. Everyone knows that we need electricity. They've had more dividend increases than any other company in Canada. Royal Bank, which listeners will be familiar with, they've been paying a dividend since 1870. Wow. These are things that you should consider for most people in some way. When we get into the details of how do you maximize cash flow out of your portfolio.
Mm-hmm. Well, always, once again, always learn something from you, Graham. Thanks so much for your time today.
Sam, it's a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Graham Vallis joining us today, Senior Wealth Advisor with Scotia Wealth. We appreciate his time always. He joins us here every Thursday to talk all things finances, and we're grateful for that. We're getting ready for a busy 11 o'clock hour. We're going to be talking about women's soccer in Canada. We're also going to be talking about those beautiful fireworks that you may be participating in happening at Lac Leamy. We look forward to that at the beautiful casino there. We also wanted to spend some time today with Greg McEachran and Chris Day and talk all things federal politics. We're getting ready for lunch as well today. Jennifer Madigan's going to be here. Lindsay Maskell's going to be here as well. And Eric Elper's going to join us today. We're going to talk all things music. And I know we're going to be talking about the fact that Taylor Swift is coming to Canada. Rogers Communications, which is the parent company of City News, so proud to announce today that Taylor will be coming for 6 dates in November. We're going to bring you all the scoop on that. You'll want to stay with us on City News.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
October 5th, 2014, my daughter was hit by a train. She was walking along the sides of the tracks, and it shattered her world.
This is a perfectly healthy child. What's unhealthy are birth alerts, a racist practice that may stop this Indigenous mother from going home with her newborn. Become an ally. Rise above racism in healthcare.
I'm Julian Armour from Music and Beyond. Join us for a new show this spring on Rogers called Music and Beyond Presents.
Play 4 games of bingo from the comfort of your own home each Monday at 7 p.m. for your chance to win money from our $2,000 regular bingo or $5,000 super bingo night. Kiwanis TV Bingo, Mondays at 7 p.m. on Rogers TV.
$20. $20. We're on the line for $20.
IWW 1310 AM in Ottawa.
And CJET 1011 FM in Smiths Falls and the Valley. Number 1 for local news, traffic, and weather for Ottawa and the Valley. This is City News 1011 everywhere.
It's Thursday, the 3rd of August. Good morning. I'm Perushka Gopal-Kista. Right now, we're under a tornado watch for Ottawa and the Valley. 21 degrees, 21 in Smiths Falls. Here's what's making news right now. Canadian Taylor Swift fans are getting some long-awaited good news. The musical superstar announcing, along with Rogers, a series of performances in Toronto next year. Our Caitlin Lee has the details.
For a moment there, it seemed like Taylor was saying, "I forgot that you existed." But Canadian Swifties are finally getting some tour stops in what is expected to be the highest-grossing tour of any artist ever. Swift is bringing her Eras Tour to Rogers Centre from November 14th to 16th and November 21st to 23rd, 2024. She'll be the first performer ever to do a 6-show stint at the venue. Question: how do you score a ticket? You can register to be a verified fan from today through Saturday. Only fans that receive an email will be able to join the queue for the sale on August the 9th. Caitlin Lee, City News.
City News time 11:01. Now, Ottawa Transit officials expected to announce more details today about the work required to get the trains back on track. Details on the risk assessment report due at some point today. That's from the engineering firm hired by RTG. OC Transpo saying the report should outline the risk profile associated with a different number of factors. Now, August 14th still remains the preliminary reopen date for the O train. Now, taking a look at your weather for today, here is our City News weather specialist, Denise Andriacci.
That threat for thunderstorms continues across Ottawa and Smiths Falls today, but there's plenty of dry moments as well. If you hear any rumbles of thunder, see ominous looking weather headed your way, it's best to get indoors, especially this afternoon and evening where the risk for storms is pretty high. 25 degrees is our guaranteed high, so that's near seasonal. We're down to 17 overnight, showers and the risk for storms again early Friday, and then we'll have some sunny breaks for the remainder of the day. Our guaranteed high, 25.
Right now, a tornado watch is in effect for Ottawa and the Valley. 21 degrees right now, partly cloudy. Ottawa fire crews called to a couple of fires overnight. Around 10:40 last night, crews were called to a high-rise near Alta Vista Drive for reports of a dumpster fire inside an underground parking garage. That fire under control within 25 minutes and no one was evacuated. Then just minutes later, crews were called to the adjoining units on Wilbrod Street in the Sandy Hill area. 25 people were displaced and one person treated before paramedics could arrive on the scene. Now, that fire took about 5 hours to extinguish, and a fire investigator called to that area to determine the cause. Now, the former president of the U.S., Donald Trump, due in court this afternoon to answer to charges that he sought to overturn the 2020 U.S. presidential election.
Security is tight here at the federal courthouse in Washington, D.C. ahead of former President Donald Trump's arraignment. Metal barricades line the perimeter with yellow police tape reading "Do Not Cross," along with numerous media outlets and some heightened police presence. More law enforcement officers are expected to come later in the day. This is the third indictment against Trump as he seeks a new term in the White House. A federal grand jury indicted Trump Tuesday on charges that he tried to overturn his 2020 election loss. Trump has denied any wrongdoing. Emlyn, ABC News, outside the D.C. federal courthouse.
And I'm Perushka Gopal-Kista for news. Anytime, follow up online at ottawa.citynews.ca.
The Sam Laprade Show continues on City News
1011 FM and 1310 AM.
Well, we know earlier this week it was a heartbreaking loss for the Canadian women at the World Cup that's taking place, of course, in Australia. Heartbreaking loss there for our women's team. We wanted to speak today with Kim Bresser, Executive Director and co-founder of the Future Girls Soccer. How are you, Kim? Kim, are you there?
How are you doing this morning?
Good. Nice to connect with you. I'm really passionate about girls soccer and women's soccer in this country. My daughter is a player, and she's been playing since she was picking dandelions out there on the field, Kim. So it's been a long time. And
really?
that was the very first thing she did on her very first game. Is she went and picked up all the dandelions off the field. But I guess my
not the only one.
That's exactly the point I'm making is that we've seen this. The women's team here in Canada just make us so incredibly proud. We know that heartbreaking loss happened, but it takes young people getting into soccer, young girls wanting to have the dream of being where the likes of Christine Sinclair are to make this viable in this country. Would you agree?
Yes. No, I do agree. I mean, Christine Sinclair came out of this country by working hard and by training. So everybody has that potential to get there. It's just not as easy, I don't think, on the girls' side as it is on the boys' side. So that's where I think we sit today.
And talk to me a little bit about how soccer has changed when the women won that gold medal. There was a lot of excitement around it, but how has women's soccer changed in this country?
So women's soccer has been growing. For sure. After the Canadian women's team won the Olympics and have had good showings consistently, except for this year, for sure, registrations at the grassroots level, it really has inspired girls to get started. So I can tell you that after we have appearances like this, my phone starts ringing more, my registrations start to increase. So there is momentum when they see them playing and succeeding. It certainly does ignite the grassroots levels for sure.
Mm-hmm. And just in terms of, the development, we saw very clearly from Christine, she's not somebody that sort of holds back. She's very open about the development, about the resources and the lack of resources, the lack of sponsorship in many cases. And she's saying, listen, if this isn't a warning sign, I don't know what a warning sign is, that if we don't make these investments, we won't have a team that can compete at the global level. So she's being really open about it. Do you think Canadians really understand that maybe women's soccer isn't supported to the level that we may think it is?
No, because you really have to be operating like at the grassroots level. Like you've got to be on the fields, you've got to be there when like the competitive young girls are playing. Like I'm talking 8-year-olds to 12-year-olds. And that is where it starts, right? That's where you really start to stoke the fires of a young girl who wants to start playing competitive soccer. And when you're at that level and coaching that level and developing that level, you can kind of see the lack of resources, the lack of a competitive mentality that we don't culture in our young soccer players. I would say in comparison to what they're doing in Europe, overseas, we don't have the same competitive mentality. And I do think that it does a disservice. Down the road, we see it.
Yeah, it's so interesting because I really noticed a difference. My daughter was invited to play for the competitive team, and of course she was playing a rec up until then, and it was almost like they wanted the girls to just flip a switch, and it's like, that she didn't want to be aggressive with her teammates while they were practicing. She didn't want to be aggressive on the field. It felt odd to her to have that sort of competitive piece because they're, up until maybe she was about 12, she was taught to, on the field that everybody was quite kind to each other, if that's the word that I could use. Do you understand where I'm going there?
I do, and that is where I think we really fall short. Like we're, for example, we're not supposed to be keeping score. Everybody is supposed to, and I'm talking UAT Wolves, right? So young girls, we're not supposed to be keeping score. Everybody is supposed to make competitive soccer if they want to play. Like, you're not supposed to release anybody or cut anybody. So it really doesn't become a competitive environment. They do definitely get more training, but it's not what you're saying. Your daughter was like, what? You want me to do what? Right? And so that's young. In other countries, they're not waiting until the age of 13 to develop players. We don't do that here with hockey. Hockey, girls and boys, 8-year-olds, 9-year-olds, they're practicing all the time. Whereas in soccer, our competitive players are restricted. They are only allowed to practice so many times a week. They're only allowed to play one game. They're not allowed to travel certain distances. So there's restrictions that really don't contribute to a competitive environment where an elite athlete is eventually going to get developed.
Interesting.
We have it in this country. I just think that we might be starting it too late in comparison to other countries that are now stepping on the world stage and really producing quality players.
Well, fascinating. Thank you so much, Kim. I appreciated the chat today. Let's get caught up again, okay?
Yeah, absolutely. And good luck to your daughter in her soccer career.
Thank you so much, Kim Brasser, joining us today, Executive Director and co-founder of the Future Girls Soccer. We've been following, of course, the World Cup, and it's certainly been an interesting opportunity to follow that. We know that heartbreaking loss of the Canadian women's team. You could just see it on the face of Christine Sinclair, how incredibly disappointed she was that they lost in that way. Of course, down under, they're in Australia right now and probably heading home. Okay, today has been a very exciting day. It's not very often on City News that when we share breaking news, it's actually exciting, fun, and something that I get to say, hey, Ryan Lindsay from KISS, do you want to come in and spend some time with me? The big news, of course, today, Taylor Swift is coming to Toronto, to Rogers Centre. How excited are you?
Extremely. This is something that so many Swifties across the entire nation have been giddy about. Something they've been waiting for. This is something that has been pushed for in Parliament.
Right.
The Prime Minister himself said, Taylor Swift, you have to come to Canada. And we're not just getting her for one night, we're getting her for six, which is a record. Nobody has ever done 6 shows at the Rogers Centre. So it's a very, very big deal. There's going to be people that are going to be traveling from all across the country to make their way there. Sure. They've got enough time to plan, at least, because I saw the press release and I was like, wait, is this this November? This is too quick.
Yeah.
But apparently it's November of 2024. So everybody has enough time.
Okay.
You have the chance to breathe.
Yeah.
There's a lot of hoops to jump through when it comes to these
Lots
tickets.
of hoops.
A lot of hoops.
Yeah.
And the websites are all up. I know the City News story has all the links up too, so you can pre-register for your fan tickets. But this is huge. I put it up, and within seconds, people were tagging their friends on the information, like, oh, we have to go. We've got to go. This is going to be amazing. I'm like, oh.
It's going to be amazing. Yeah, it's going to be amazing. So she is obviously, it's the tour that's never going to end, but it's a good reason for it not to end. The fact it's coming, of course, to Canada, November 14th, 15th, 16th, and November 21st, 22nd, 23rd of 2024. It is a very big deal. Rogers Centre, of course, in Toronto is the big deal here. And from my perspective, I've never been prouder to work for Rogers because, of course, City News and KISS 105.3, both, of course, our parent company is Rogers. So we got the scoop.
I would love to give every single person in our industry, by the way, and that we work for, the biggest high five for not leaking this to any of us, by the way.
Huge.
We found out by trickle. I found out from you. You told me in the hall, and I'm like, what? I ran into the studio.
Yeah, I couldn't wait to tell you.
This is massive. We're so excited. I immediately started flipping songs on the station. I'm like, we're moving Taylor in here and here.
Exactly.
And here. We have to talk about this.
Yeah.
But 6 nights is huge for an artist that people have been traveling for. There's been so many people that have hopped out of the country to go see.
Okay, can I tell you something?
Yeah?
So it's a step process to get tickets.
Yes, it is.
So
you have to get the verified fans.
I passed one step to get tickets in Amsterdam, but when I got when I got to log on to get my tickets, they wouldn't accept my Canadian credit card.
What?
Yeah, I was so heartbroken. So we were planning on going in 2024, July. I think it was July 4th, 5th, and 6th. for one of the shows, obviously, but they wouldn't accept my Canadian credit card. So I know I was heartbroken.
Well, I mean, it makes sense though. It's them trying to make sure that the tickets stay local and that they're not getting scalped, right? Because it's been such a huge issue over the years. But I wonder, just with the news we've gotten over the past couple of days too, I don't know, did you guys talk about the bonus stuff that's popped up?
Yes, huge.
Does this mean, because the tour is going to keep going forever, does that mean she's going to have to like re-bonus out? Right. Because if that's the case, I'm telling you right now, I am applying to be a truck driver for Taylor Swift. I am done. My time here and my tenure at KISS has been amazing.
Stop it. You're not leaving us.
You're all great people. But $100,000 bonus for driving her stuff around?
Pretty cool.
I'm sorry.
It's pretty cool. $55 million to the team. I mean, that speaks to her professionalism. She's obviously an incredible businesswoman, but it speaks to her heart as well. I think a lot of stars, we've seen this time and time again. Sadly, we're seeing it with another big star right now, not respecting the people around them. This is a nod to, hey, I'm only here because all of you are here. She gets that, Ryan.
There has never been someone who does more groundwork about the people they're meeting as well, which is insane. I mean, if I've never met Taylor Swift, but I have a lot of friends that have had the chance to be able to go backstage and meet her at various functions. She learns about people. I swear she's got a flip book. There's got to be someone who's like bringing her through facts and stuff, because she will go right up to you, say your name to your face and be like, oh yeah, how did this go last week? I know that your son was doing this. You're like, how do you know this? It's like talking to a medium who
I think
also
I'd pass out.
Pop store. Seriously.
I would pass out.
I would ask her to read my palm at that point in time. Be like, what else do you need to do? Like,
if she said to me, like, how was your trip to Orlando with your daughter? I'd be like, what are you talking about?
I was leafing through your pictures and I noticed that you guys had fun on this ride. Like, whoa.
Exactly.
This is both amazing and creepy in the best way possible.
Yeah, well, she's awesome. And Rogers Communications, of course, announced about an hour ago that Taylor Swift is coming 2024, November 14th, 15th, 16th, November 21st, 22nd, 23rd. The one and only Taylor Swift bringing it to Canada. The Prime Minister said, hey, Taylor, come to Canada. She heard the call.
She heard. She listened.
There you go. There you go. She heard loud and clear. Ryan Lindsay, of course, from KISS 105.3, a good friend to City News here. We appreciate you coming in, talking all things Taylor. Stay with us here on City News.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Every year, dozens of Canadians are killed or seriously injured because they take risks around railway tracks. Talk to your loved ones about rail safety. Visit stoptracktragedies.ca.
Hello, I'm Jim Deeks, host of Canada Files. I hope you'll join me each week for interesting and informative discussions with some of Canada's most impressive people.
Jean-Marie! Fire! The neighbor's farm is on fire. It's almost to the road. It's heading for us.
Help me get the animals out of the barn.
The fire's getting closer.
I'm on the horse.
The house is burning.
Get out to the river. Get up.
Can't leave everything. Careful. Don't fall.
Come on. We have to hurry.
Hurry. There's the river. We're going to make it. I can't swim.
Yes, you can.
Hurry. Hurry.
You must get in.
I can't.
Watch out for Spark.
His hair's on fire.
Keep their hair wet.
In May 1870, fires raged along the Saguenay River for more than 150 kilometers, destroying land and lives. One family survived by dousing themselves all night against the searing heat. One family, among the thousands whose resourcefulness and courage shaped the character of this land.
Today, I helped a senior find transportation to an important medical appointment.
Today, I helped a new mom find virtual programming so she didn't feel so isolated.
Today, I helped someone understand new government supports.
Every day,
211 navigators connect Canadians to critical government and community programs and services.
211. Help starts here.
Rogers TV presents a series of original creative stories animated by storytellers for children of all ages. Join us for Ottawa Storytellers.
It's a new season of The New Fly Fisher on Rogers TV.
The Sam Laprade Show continues on City News.
1011 FM and 1310 AM.
Think about the reasons I love this city. There's so many reasons. This area is just full of so many things to do, and I wanted to spend some time today with Marc-Antoine Massicotte, president of Le Grand Feu. How are you, Marc?
I'm great. Yourself?
Wonderful to spend time with you. And I can't believe you even have time to spend time with me today with, of course, this beautiful event happening. A few of my friends posted their pictures last night of these beautiful fireworks, and they are stunning, Marc. You've outdone yourself.
Well, thank you so much. We've had an overwhelming grand opening yesterday. It was just tremendous.
And it was wonderful. But there's lots more to come, right? So we know that Italy is coming up on August the 5th, South Africa August the 9th, the Philippines on August the 12th, Ukraine August the 16th, and of course the grand finale happening on August the 19th. All of those dates sound familiar, but I'll be honest, my heart sort of soared to see Ukraine there. Talk to me a little bit about how important it was to include Ukraine.
Absolutely, yes. We're so thrilled that we were able to make this happen. So we were in contact with the Ukrainian firm back in 2019 in order to have them perform in 2020, actually. Then we all know what happened, right? The pandemic hit us. So we had to postpone our event. And then we were a bit scared that they could not make it after it, considering everything that has been going on abroad. But we were super excited to learn that they were still available and interested to come perform. So this is definitely going to be, quite a special evening and definitely very emotional, and it's going to be filled with definitely a lot of emotions, definitely.
For sure. And when you think about all of the opportunities for people to come together in such a beautiful way. I mean, like I said, the photos coming from Le Grand Feu, from obviously presented by the Casino Lac Limi, but coming from the Canadian Museum of History. I mean, I can't think of a more beautiful place to see these fireworks explode and decorate the sky in such a beautiful way. You've chosen a gorgeous location.
We're extremely lucky to be able to be working within that venue, that site. With the Parliament on our background, it's definitely, to me, one of the most beautiful sites in Canada. So we feel very lucky to be able to work out there. And whenever we welcome those firms from Italy, last year we had France. We get people from all over the world, and they are always extremely excited and impressed that they're able to work their craft and present their art form right in front of our Parliament with all the symbols that come with it. So absolutely, you're right. It's a gorgeous site.
And talk to me a little bit about the picnic box side of this. I think this is awesome.
Yes, well, pyro musical shows are one of our pillars, but then we've worked very hard to develop a very strong culinary aspect as well. So the picnic box is one of them, where we collaborate with 5 different restaurants and great chefs from the area who have all prepared small plates, shareable plates for the public. So we started that offer last year, and it's been ramping up this year. People have been ecstatic about it yesterday. And we also have a very elaborate barbecue and cooking on fire experience on site as well. So we really wanted to get people to enjoy the event with all their senses.
Well, that's amazing. How do you keep the energy up for all of these nights? I mean, each night is so different, but you must have a big team working with you, Marc.
it's pretty amazing to see like all those. It's almost like a beehive during the event. There are hundreds of people working around. We're extremely lucky to have a very experienced team of like an internal and external teams that have been around for a long time. We also have a lot of volunteers who help us make the experience happen each and every year. So on any given night, there are probably 300 to 400 people working on site during an event, probably closer to 400 when you account all the suppliers and everything. So it's quite special to see this humming and going this well. Where it's always we're very grateful for everyone who's involved with us.
For sure. And a lot of people, when they think about fireworks, they think about the safety side. This must be paramount for you as well.
Oh, absolutely, yes. Sometimes what people don't realize is that Canada has one of the most robust, like health and safety measures around fireworks and around explosives altogether. So it's an extremely tight, regulated industry, and we work with the best. So we have the opportunity to work with firms who sit on the Canadian Pyrotechnics Council. So we work with the best, and but yes, it is definitely paramount is the right term. Events are something that is ephemeral, so a lot can happen. So we always take pride into presenting safe events and ensuring that everyone is safe afterwards.
Oh, that's wonderful. You put on an incredible show. You really do bring this region to light, and it's wonderful to see Casino Lac Limi as well as a sponsor taking place at the Canadian Museum of History, and you can just look up to the skies and just be so proud of the work that you're doing. President of Le Grand Frio, thank you so much. Marc-Antoine Massicotte joining us today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Look up to the skies, everybody. Over the next number of weeks, you're going to see these beautiful shows taking place. And a friend of mine, actually here at the station, Andrew, shared some of his pictures on social media last night, and they were stunning. They were art worthy. They're you could put them on the wall. They're absolutely gorgeous pictures. So we want you to experience all of that as well. So definitely head to the website, get some tickets there, and take your family. Great date night activity as well. When we come back, we're going to have an opportunity to speak with Greg McEachran, Ottawa-based consultant and Liberal strategist. Chris Day will be here as well, president of Winston Wilmot. We're going to be talking about a number of federal developments that have happened. I also want to talk to them a little bit about the CEBA loan. There's been such a big call to have that extension given to small businesses that are struggling to pay back that loan. We're going to talk about housing as well. We're also going to talk about the announcement from the Prime Minister yesterday that he and Sophie Gregoire Trudeau are separating. What does this mean for the next election? Stay with us on City News.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
October 5th, 2014, my daughter was hit by a train. She was walking along the sides of the tracks, and it shattered her world.
Hi, can I take your order? Hello?
Oh, hey. Wait, what was the question?
Let me guess. One driving high combo, extra baked?
No. Could I get a burger with a side of fries?
Think you're a better driver when you're high? Think again. Smoking weed affects reaction time and concentration. A message from Mad Canada.
Hi, I'm Paula Roy, and it's my pleasure to welcome you back into my kitchen for another season of Paula Roy's Favorite Foods. My approach to food is pretty straightforward. Fancy is fine, but when you're in a time crunch or have a really hungry and patient family to feed, I say simple recipes made with wholesome ingredients that you probably have on hand are the best. And that's exactly what you'll find on Paula Roy's Favorite Foods on Rogers TV.
Play 4 games of bingo from the comfort of your own home each Monday at 7 p.m. for your chance to win money from our $2,000 regular bingo or $5,000 super bingo night. Kiwanis TV Bingo, Mondays at 7 p.m. on Rogers TV.
Bum, 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 bum. $20. $20. We're on the line for $20.
Number 1 for local news, traffic, and weather for Ottawa and the Valley. This is City News 101.1 everywhere.
It's Thursday, the 3rd of August. Good morning. I'm Perushka Gopal-Kista. Right now, 22 degrees, mostly cloudy. In Ottawa, 21 in Smiths Falls. Now we are under a tornado watch. Here's what's making news right now. Canadian Swifties are going to get their chance to see the hitmaker in person in 2024. Taylor Swift bringing her Eras Tour to Toronto for 6 shows at the Rogers Centre from November 14th to 16th and then November 21st to November 23rd. Tickets go on sale August 9th. Now, there are more calls for the federal government to be more forgiving around the repayment of its business loans during the COVID-19 pandemic. Barbara Barrett, the executive director of the Frontier Duty Free Association, saying that duty-free shops along the border shouldn't have to repay their $60,000 CBA loans from the feds because they faced additional restrictions during lockdown that wouldn't even let them conduct online sales.
It seems unfair when we were so disproportionately affected by the 20-month border closure for them to expect repayment.
Other small business groups warning that 250,000 businesses could be at risk of closure because of the repayment deadline of the end of this year. Now, here at home, organizers of the Rolling Thunder expected to roll through the capital on Saturday. The organizers planning to go eastbound on the 417, which could impact traffic near Elgin and Laurier. Organizers also planning to head to the National War Memorial around noon before rolling out of the capital. Now expect to see an increased police presence in the downtown core this weekend. City News Time, 11:31. I'm Perushka Gopal-Kista. For news anytime, follow up online at ottawa.citynews.ca.
The Sam Laprade Show continues on City News
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Thank you so much for spending time with us here on City News. I'm Sam Laprade, and I wanted to spend some time today with Greg McEachran, Ottawa-based consultant and Liberal strategist, and of course, Chris Day, president of Winston Wilmot. Hello to you both.
Hello. Good morning.
Wonderful to have you here. We know there's some very big news from the Prime Minister. We wanted to talk a little bit about that today, and that was the fact that he asked Taylor Swift to come to Canada. And of course, Greg, she's obliged. She's coming in 2024.
Promise made, promise delivered.
There you go. There you go. Obviously, a very big news for Swiftie fans. Chris Day, are you a Swiftie fan?
I am not a Swiftie personally, but my phone, regardless, was blowing up today about these 6 concerts that are happening in November. Yeah. A couple of my employees have already asked for time off so that they and their go.
Well, just so you know, it's November of 2024.
Well, yeah, but they're already planning on it.
There you go. There you go.
You know, I don't think one of my employees is getting out of it because his fiance is a huge Swiftie. So they may spend more than a few nights in Toronto next November.
Chris, they maybe also be asking for a raise based on some of the ticket prices.
Exactly.
Well, you know, in Sweden, some of these recent huge concerts have had actual traceable impacts on inflationary pressures, right? So something to watch for next November. Wow. I'm not sure if T Swift will have that impact on Canadian inflation, but 6 concerts at the Rogers Centre, big deal.
Yeah, for sure. And of course, City News is the parent company of this radio station is Rogers Communications. So we were very excited to announce that happening at the Rogers Centre. And so I wanted to ask you guys, about your Taylor Swift fan sort of likes and dislikes about her. But most people like what she's doing, which is awesome. So we appreciate that big news today. Greg, listen, other big news happening yesterday from the Trudeaus. We know that Justin and Sophie jointly announced their separation. I don't pretend to I won't even pretend to get into somebody's personal life. That's not my business. I've been divorced twice. I've collected enough husbands to know to stay out of that kind of stuff. But what I will say is the political ramifications of this kind of thing is so interesting to me because, of course, we're probably maybe a year or 18 months away from an election, Greg. Do you think it will impact Justin Trudeau?
I don't really. And, you said it, Sam. This isn't like when Justin Trudeau's parents, Pierre and Margaret, split up in 1977. I remember, at the time there were, I grew up in a very Catholic home in a very Catholic community. And, the implications of divorce on your faith then are very much different now. Your case is a great example of how this is not such an unusual thing. I think logistically for any family, there's a lot of changes that come from separation and divorce. But I don't think it changes. I think there'd be and from the coverage, I think there's been a fair amount of empathy because a lot of families have gone through this.
And I'll say, Chris, that as soon as I heard the news, I immediately think of the kids because that's just I'm a mom, so I think about the impact on children. But I was really hoping to not see somebody from another political party use this in any way. And so far we haven't seen that. I think it would look very, very poorly on anybody that decided to use a family issue in a political way here in Canada. I think that is not our style. I think it was very wise for others to stay very quiet about it. As far as we know so far, we haven't heard anything come from any other camp in a negative way. I think that's the only way to go, Chris.
Well, I think you're absolutely right. Canada is very different than other places for these types of things. There's a generally a much greater respect for the personal life of even public officials, and the need for privacy, requests for privacy are typically more carefully respected than in other places, including the U.S. and including the U.K. So, certainly, my parents divorced when I was a young kid, and they still liked each other, but weren't meant to be married. And there were some very difficult moments in that regard, and we weren't in public life. We weren't living in the public eye. So certainly a lot of sympathy for the Trudeau kids and the Trudeau couple. And, I do think that the impacts to the Prime Minister will be relatively minor from a political standpoint because, half the country, half of marriages end up this way these days. There are, demographically, we're different than we were last time a Prime Minister and his wife separated. I do think that there's a general sort of begrudging acceptance of and respect for calls for privacy. Mm-hmm. So,
and Sam, on that though, I would. It's good to see that. I agree with you. I've not seen anybody from the political world say anything about this negatively, but I did see something pretty awful yesterday from a right-wing reporter, Keenan Bext, who made a very homophobic joke, saying that now that they're now they can both date men or something like this. And that's something that I find unfortunate, that somehow you're less of a person if you're gay. And I'm noticing that creep in quite a bit. And I was not unsurprised to see this far right-wing media approach to be really, really crappy on that. And that was disappointing.
I'm going to tell you, I unfriended 2 people yesterday on social media for what they shared after this news. crass, very, very crass memes. And they'll probably notice, they probably don't care that I've unfriended them, but that's not the kind of stuff that I want to see in my feed. So we did see it. It's unfortunate, and people are always going to use and take that low life view of something that is something of a personal nature, which is really upsetting. But Chris, let me ask you this: when we're seeing Kevin Bosch suggesting in Politico that Parliament drop Friday sittings in order to have a better work-life balance as a family, and the three of us have all worked in politics. You two have worked on the Hill. I've worked in municipal politics, and it is until you've lived it as a staffer or as a member of Parliament or as a councillor or working at Queen's Park, you do not understand how those 24-hour days become a minute and a half, how quickly those days are eaten up by the stresses of that job, by the meetings. People do not understand it. So, Chris, what do you think about this idea of creating a better work-life balance and dropping those Friday sittings?
So I'm of split minds on this because I do certainly agree that the pace, the demands of political life, public life at all levels, but at the federal level in particular, are nonstop. And when Canadians asked me and my colleagues to find new jobs in 2015, I did not realize until I was out of it for a bit just how exhausted I was. And that happens to literally every government of every political stripe, that there's a shelf life for both the politician and the people supporting the politician because of the demands that are placed on those people, both personally and professionally. That said, I'm a little concerned that between hybrid sittings where, frankly, let's be honest, the government can use. Any government can use hybrid sittings to take some of the pressure off the minister who happens to be in the heat of the moment, by having them appear virtually. It's not the same as being in that chamber. And the nation's business continues. So there has to be a way to manage these demands, manage these pressures for sure, compel really solid candidates to run and serve. But I'm not sure that going to 4-day sittings, half of which or all of which may be virtual, is going to serve the nation's business as effectively as it should.
Interesting. What's your take, Greg?
Well, the issue with Fridays is not much actually happens on Fridays when the House of Commons is sitting, to be honest. The question period is earlier in the day, and you never see a lot of news driven out of a Friday morning question period. If it is, it's usually somebody's really messed up. I remember when I worked for Belinda Stronach, her kids were teenagers, and she, would be driving back and forth to Newmarket, Aurora, and she said, I thought I had it bad, and then I was talking to Nathan Cullen. He's now in cabinet in BC provincially, but federally he represented the northern part of British Columbia, Skeena, Bulkley Valley, I think. And Nathan told her that it was taking him about 24 hours to get home to see his kids.
Wow.
So, I hear what Chris is saying. It's the same as the workplace. It's great that you can work from home, but more is going to happen if you're in the office and you have the exposure to your colleagues, to your boss. But I'm not sure that Fridays are all that productive right now.
Interesting. Let's switch gears a bit. It's been on my mind, and I know you both have really big networks as well. In my network, I have a number of people that own businesses that took those CEBA loans when the pandemic hit to try and have a bit of a stopgap to try and ease some of those financial pressures. That date is looming, December 31st, to have that loan paid back, and then the interest obviously starts, and that part that was going to be forgivable will not be forgivable anymore. This was something, quite honestly, I was really hoping that the Trudeau government was going to get this done before the summer and extend that loan time to maybe a year, maybe it's 2 years, maybe there's a formula, pay back $10,000 by December 31st, some sort of decision made before the summer, because there are so many, Chris, so many small business owners that are thinking this might be the end of their business. It's keeping them up at night. I really hope as soon as the House sits, this is the top priority.
Well, I fully agree with you. Those loans were offered as, partial compensation to businesses who were affected by some of the most restrictive pandemic lockdowns anywhere on the planet. And a lot of the people that took them, that was the only way they were going to survive that period, keep their employees or any hope of keeping their employees, and frankly, keep their livelihoods. And any change to the rules of the game after the fact, including repayment and forgiveness, that isn't in the small business owner's interest, I think is patently unfair and needs to be relooked at. Changing the rule of the game after someone signed on the dotted line is unconscionable. Even in a period where we're seeing a decent rebound for most businesses, but there needs to be something done to forgive this, especially when the head of the CR or the bureaucratic head of the CRA is saying we're not going to go after people who, millions of people who applied for pandemic help and didn't need it.
Oh, don't even get me started about that, honestly.
That's nuts.
Yeah, me too.
At least give small business owners some mouth to the nose.
Greg, you have a big network as well. Are you hearing this?
Oh, absolutely. Earlier in July, a university friend who operates a catering business and a restaurant, actually she just sold the restaurant, and told me that basically she got set up with staffing and labor issues. She's owned the restaurant for about, I think, 14 years, but told me that this was happening and basically said, you need to tell your friends in government that this is potentially coming. I hope that they do find some mitigation around this, but I also want to remind people, we can't talk out of both sides of our mouths here. We can't complain about the government spending and then not asking people, and I agree with Chris, it has to be what you signed for, and I wasn't aware that they had changed the rules, but what you signed for and agreed to, you should do, but if they can delay it a little bit or there's a payment process, absolutely, as we get kind of the economy going again.
Yeah.
But we can't talk out of both sides of our mouths where we say we complain about spending on one side and then not asking for the money that was loaned to come back.
Oh, for sure. I'm not saying they shouldn't pay it back. I'm saying just give them more time to pay it back.
Exactly.
For sure.
Exactly.
Greg McEachran, Chris Day, thank you so much for joining us today. And of course, we're talking about that big subject today, Taylor Swift. Thanks, guys. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
See you at Rogers Centre.
I look forward to it. Absolutely. Greg McEachran, Ottawa-based consultant, Liberal strategist, Chris Day, president of Winston Wilmot. Appreciate their perspectives today. When we come back, Eric Alper will be in the house. He's a publicist and music commentator. Heck of a nice guy. Guess what we're going to talk about? Well, a little T Swift. Stay with us here on City News.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Every year, dozens of Canadians are killed or seriously injured because they take risks around railway tracks. Talk to your loved ones about rail safety. Visit stoptracktragedies.ca.
Hello, I'm Jim Deeks, host of Canada Files. I hope you'll join me each week for interesting and informative discussions with some of Canada's most impressive people.
I'm Derek Fage, and I encourage you to join me each and every weekday at 2 p.m. for an edition of Daytime Ottawa. We will share with you some fabulous stories, inspirational stories, and of course, recipes from local chefs. We'll tell you about some wonderful musical performances, introduce you to local businesses and charities, and so much more. Join us here on Daytime Ottawa at 2 p.m. weekdays with repeats at 6 and 11 p.m.
It was our 35th anniversary. To celebrate, we were on our way to Mama Rosie's, where we had our first date. That's when we heard coming from the radio. So we stopped and listened. It helped us get to safety. So when I think of our anniversary, because now we have even more to celebrate.
I'm Meg from Fit Over 50. In my upcoming episode, you can join me for a workout focused on core and back strength. All you'll need is a band and a chair. Can't wait to work out with you soon.
Fit Over 50 with Meg, weekday mornings at 8:30 on Rogers TV.
Summer days, summer nights, lots of things to do, places to go, and people to see. If you're having a few drinks, be sure to plan ahead and get home safely. We don't want to pick you up. Drinking drivers risk injuries to themselves and others and take chances with their license, their jobs, and their future. Remember what's at stake and choose your ride, whether you're the driver, the passenger, or the party host. Thanks for supporting sober driving. I hope we never meet.
Visit arrivealive.org to find out more.
Rogers TV presents a series of original creative stories animated by storytellers for children of all ages. Join us for Ottawa Storytellers.
It's a new season of The New Fly Fisher on Rogers TV.
The Sam Laprade Show continues on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Screaming, crying, perfect storms. I can make all the tables turn. Rose garden filled with thorns. Keep you second guessing like, oh my God, who is she? I get drunk on jealousy, but you'll come back each time you leave. 'Cause darling, I'm a nightmare dressed like a daydream. So it's gonna be
Well, of course, that's the one and only Taylor Swift. And if you haven't heard the big news, Rogers Communications has announced a couple of hours ago that the one and only Taylor Swift is coming to Toronto for 6 shows, November of 2024. Eric Alper, did you know this was going to happen, Eric Alper?
I should have bet. Because I probably would have won enough money to actually pay for a pair of Taylor Swift tickets. Yeah. But I think you and I, we were talking when Taylor Swift first announced the tour, and people were getting very upset that Canada was always in the back burner of it. And I always said November 2024. And the reason why I was saying that was because at the Rogers Centre, like most stadiums across North America and even in the UK, they're already blocked off for whatever is there. So the Toronto Blue Jays have to block off so much of that time up until mid-October for potentially the World Series. I don't want to bet on that, but they have to have those dates available. So when you're Taylor Swift, you could come for one show, or you can just wait it out and play for 6, and that's exactly what she's doing, playing on November the 14th, 15th, 16th, 21st, 22nd, 23rd, taking time off for the Thanksgiving long weekend in the U.S. But as you probably saw, she has reportedly given over $55 million of bonuses to her staff and crew, including $100,000 to dozens and dozens of truckers that are on her staff. So if my boss gave me a $100,000 bonus, I'm actually going to be working that Thanksgiving.
Right, you'll skip the turkey,
so
right?
You'll skip the turkey. I'll buy a farm with that money to have my own turkeys.
There you go.
No word yet on Ottawa, Montreal, Halifax, or any dates as of yet.
Yeah. Eric Alper, of course, publicist and music commentator. When I heard the news this morning, of course, Rogers is the parent company of this radio station here, City News, and I couldn't wait to talk to you. I was like, what time's Eric coming on? Because I knew this would be big news, of course, and many people already writing to me saying, Sam, how can we get tickets and all of that? Registering as a verified fan on Ticketmaster is the very first step. So encouraging people to do that. Tickets will go on sale on August the 9th. But lots happening. I mean, these are tickets for 2024. We have to keep reminding people of that, Eric.
This is a very new thing that we're all dealing with. For about 65 years in the music industry, it would be absurd to ask fans to block off anywhere past 5 months of their time for a show, mostly because, in the 60s and 70s and 80s, it was a lot to ask the artist if they were still going to be popular 18 months down the road.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody thought of having a career longer than the album that they were working. So this is a fairly new era, no pun intended, to be thinking about shows that of Drake or The Weeknd or Beyonce or Madonna or Cardi B or now Taylor Swift to actually block off 18 months from now. Look, when my doctor says to me, what are you doing in September? That's your next appointment. I laugh because I'm like, I don't know, but I guess I know what I'm going to be doing in November. Hopefully, crossing fingers, one of those nights.
I know, crossing fingers as well. And I haven't had a chance to chat with my daughter yet, but I know she's going to be very, very excited. And I'm hoping that of course that we get to be verified fans and then make all the next steps and in order to get those tickets. But it's going to be one for all for when those tickets go on sale for sure.
Yeah, and there's other ways that people can kind of hopefully take a chance on more options. The other one is signing up with a credit card, mostly and no plug, but usually American Express has the front of the line access, where they give the ability to buy the tickets at least a day before the general public does. Also, go on Taylor Swift's website and look around for the fan club because they have access to tickets sometimes before the general public does as well. So those are two ways that people can actually skip the rest of the line, but also primarily the verified fan sign up. And it's going to be frustrating. There's going to be anywhere between 7 and 10 million people that are going to be clamoring for tickets because it's not just Toronto. It's going to be right across Canada and around the world that people are going to try to clamor and buy tickets for this.
For sure. And I think about, places like Buffalo and Rochester. I mean, they're going to be all over it too, right into New York State. And as I mentioned to you before, I tried to get tickets for the show in Amsterdam, and I got right far. I picked my seats and everything, but they wouldn't accept my Canadian credit card. So they definitely have a lot of restrictions. And as much as we were sad that we didn't get the tickets for Amsterdam in July of 2024, I do understand the restrictions. I do understand it.
Yeah, and they're good. I understand that people want to, take a trip and travel, but no artist has actually came out publicly and said that these tickets are limited to that city or that province or that state. The perception then would be of a lack of excitement. You want people to freak out around the world, knowing that our Canadian dollar works pretty well against the U.S. and the UK one. So people might want to travel, but artists they never reveal that until you try to go and get tickets and are blocked by the IP address or the use of the credit card.
For sure. Eric, I always love chatting with you. Just a little bit more excited today, though, to talk all things Taylor
absolutely.
Swift. Thank you so much for spending time with us today. And I don't know about you, Eric Alper, but I'm feeling a little bit more that we need to hear some T Swift as we go out here on City News.
Laprade will be right back on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
October 5th, 2014, my daughter was hit by a train. She was walking along the sides of the tracks, and it shattered her world.
Do you have something to share? Let everyone know about your next meeting, your need for volunteers, or your fundraising event on the Rogers TV Community Billboard. Send us your words and we'll bring them to life on Rogers TV and rogerstv.com. When it's time to spread the word, go to rogerstv.com to add your announcement to the Community Billboard.
Play 4 games of bingo from the comfort of your own home each Monday at 7 p.m. for your chance to win money from our $2,000 regular bingo or $5,000 super bingo night. Kiwanis TV Bingo, Mondays at 7 p.m. on Rogers TV.
Bum, 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 bum. $20. $20. We're on the line for $20.
Is City News.
CIWW 1310 AM in Ottawa.
And CJET 1011 FM in Smiths Falls and the Valley. Number 1 for local news, traffic, and weather for Ottawa and the Valley. This is City News 1011 everywhere.
It's Thursday, August 3rd. Good afternoon. I'm Perushka Gopal-Kista. Right now, we're under a tornado watch, 22 degrees in Ottawa, Smiths Falls. It's 21. Here's what's making news right now. Ottawa transit officials expected to announce more details today about the work that's required to get the trains back on the tracks. Details on the risk assessment report due today. Now, that's from the engineering firm hired by RTG. OC Transpo saying the report should outline the risk profile associated with a number of different factors. Now, August 14th is still the preliminary date for the return of O-Train service. City News time, it's 12:01. Now, checking in with your weather for today, let's get the latest from our weather specialist, Denise Andriachi.
25 is our guaranteed high. It's pretty seasonal today, but we do have the risk for strong storms this afternoon and evening. So that's not to say that it's all day unsettled, because it's not. It's just the risk is pretty much hanging out all day across Ottawa and Smiths Falls. If you hear thunder, get inside. Some showers overnight and still a bit unsettled to start the day tomorrow. Then we'll have some sunny breaks to wrap up Friday and welcome the weekend. Sun and cloud for Saturday, seasonal near 25. Our guaranteed high today, 25.
Right now, 22 in Ottawa, partly cloudy, feeling more like 28. Smiths Falls, it's 21. Ottawa police warning of potential traffic delays this weekend ahead of a Rolling Thunder motorcycle rally. Now, organizers planning to head eastbound on the 417, which could impact traffic along the Elgin and Laurier areas. Organizers also planning to visit the National War Memorial around noon on Saturday before rolling out of the capital. Now, police will also be present in the downtown core this weekend as well. OC Transpo saying that there will be detours around the downtown core and that will be extended if needed. Now, it's the news that many have been waiting for. Taylor Swift coming to Canada after all. City's Caitlin Lee joins us now with the details.
Canadian Swifties are having the best day. After a lot of pleading and wondering whether she'd speak now on tour dates north of the border, superstar singer Taylor Swift is taking her Eras Tour to Toronto. She'll have a 6-show run at Rogers Centre from November 14th to 16th and November 21st to 23rd next year. Hopefully you won't have to go through a great war to get seats. You can sign up to be a verified fan until Saturday. Tickets go on sale Wednesday, August 9th. Only fans who get an email with an access code will be able to queue up. Caitlin Lee, City News.
Now, a new study from CAA finds that over half of Ontario drivers believe that speeding is a big problem in this province. That number has gone up 3% compared to a survey last year. Now, 38% of respondents admitted to speeding themselves. Among those drivers, though, 63% saying they typically drive between 10 and 19 kilometers per hour over the designated speed limit. Now, the former president of the U.S., Donald Trump, due in court today in Washington, D.C. to answer to charges that he sought to turn over the 2022 presidential election loss.
He is expected to arrive here by plane in Washington, D.C., then be driven here to U.S. District Court in Washington. And we're just down the block from Capitol Hill, where so much of the substance of the indictment actually took place and unfolded.
Now, today's hearing is scheduled for 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Trump faces 4 charges, including conspiracy to defraud the U.S., conspiracy to obstruct an official proceeding, and conspiracy against rights. City News Time, it's 12:04. I'm Perushka Gopal-Kista for news anytime. Follow up online at ottawa.citynews.ca.
Connecting you and your community. This is the Sam Laprade Show on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Okay, everyone, it is lunchtime, and we always invite a couple of people in to have lunch with us. And today I've invited to the table Jennifer Madigan, Executive Vice President of Media and Communications at Syntex Strategic. Hi, Jennifer.
Hi.
Thanks for joining us for lunch today. Lindsay Maskell also pulling up a chair, Liberal strategist and former advisor to Dalton McGuinty. We know, Lindsay, yesterday, a very big day for the Trudeau family, announcing something so personal on the media, on social media, and having an opportunity to share this news. I can only imagine it was a very, very difficult day for the Trudeau family.
Yeah, I mean, it's the hard part of public office is that it affects your whole family, and politics, unfortunately, we know has been hard on families with the travel and the spotlight, and just unfortunately, political relationships do go through a bit of a grind. But we do, the nice thing I think about Canadians is we have always wanted to not be that interested in people's personal relationships in politics, and although it was probably a very hard day. Hopefully, it sounds like there's a good plan for their children, and hopefully people give them their privacy, and the Prime Minister can both focus on work and what he needs to do for his children.
Absolutely, beautifully said. And Jennifer, we saw yesterday, the opportunity for them to share on social media, but unfortunately, there's always going to be those, I'm going to call them lowlifes, Jennifer, because that's just kind of the mood I'm in. But the lowlifes that come out and use this as an opportunity to dig from a political perspective at a family matter. I have no patience, like zero patience for that stuff. And I have to say, I did notice a number of people right away coming out and saying, listen, this is a personal issue. Do not use this in a political way. I was happy to see that, but there's always those lowlifes, Jennifer.
Yeah, there are some social media posts for which you want to completely avoid the comments section, and this is one of them. I did, do a bit of a dive into it this morning, and it I was happy to see, I'd say roughly half the people who would say kind, compassionate things or, attack the others who were not being so kind. But the ones who were taking aim at him, it really does turn your stomach. I mean, it's not what I expect of people. The reality, though, is I think people are becoming a bit more immune to some of this. The trolls have become, the impact of the trolls is a bit more reduced because people just don't look anymore. I mean, I don't think the Trudeaus are looking at that. I really hope they're not looking at it. The teams are not looking at it. They know what's out there and they don't need to read that.
I'll have to tell you that about 5 years ago, Sophie Gregoire Trudeau came in to our studios here at City News, and she recorded my weekend show with me. She recorded, and we had such a wonderful time together to record a show about philanthropy and about some of the work that she had done. And we chatted as moms. It was such a great chat. I almost sort of forgot who she was at some point because we were just and she would kind of lean over at me and kind of tap my arm and say, do you remember when you used to, do this when they were babies? And it was just she was really lovely. And I know she remains lovely today in terms of that big heavy lifting to be the wife of a prime minister. I don't pretend to know what that's like, but I do know that this is a private matter. And as much as we're talking about here on the news, I've really tried to keep it very high level. I don't want to get into people's personal business. So let's turn our sights elsewhere now. But let's talk about something that has been on the minds of so many people here in the Ottawa area, Lindsay, and of course that's the LRT. How do you think the LRT, the latest challenges that they've had? I want to talk particularly around the communications. I don't want to sort of share my thoughts yet. I want your thoughts. How do you think they've managed the communications here?
Well, this has just been a communications nightmare, and it's particularly bad to keep going out and standing up and not saying anything useful. I shared the other day, I think a big difference would be is that if the public demanded service guarantees on their transit projects, because if you had to be paying for your mistakes, it would certainly change the service. But people aren't getting the information they need to be able to plan, and that's driving even more public anger. They want this fixed, but people also, I always use it as like this, an example of like if somebody was having a party, you want to know when the noise is going to quiet down, right? So if you know and you can plan, you can deal with it. If it's just like an endless unknown, it will continue to cost you money, aggravation, continuously being late, and without that proper communication, this is just continues to be a bad news story. But yeah, I'm pitching service guarantees. If you do not meet a service commitment, you should have to pay.
Thank you for that. Jennifer, how do you feel?
It makes me think of this poster someone put online, and it was directing people to where the stops were for the R1 buses, and it was incomprehensible. You would look, if I were trying to take transit, and thankfully I'm not these days, I would be so lost by that sign. I mean, I think they need to make sure that every time they're communicating, they're doing it in the clearest way possible. Just a couple of days ago, they had a nice clear thread that was just straightforward. What do you need to know? This is what we need to know now, or here's what we know, here's what's going to change, this sort of thing. I mean, everything that they do needs to be as clear as possible, but the way it's coming across now, and this might be the reality, is that they don't know what's going on. And that's the scary part, right? Is potentially they don't really understand why we're having so many problems with this system.
It certainly has been interesting. So my take on it is a little bit differently. Certainly when we've seen things happen in the past, I found communications to be a bit lacking. And in many ways, and to your point, Lindsay, about, they're communicating a lot. And sometimes when they're sharing stuff, it's not new information. But I do think they're trying to be more open and more transparent. And some of that clean language that you spoke about as well, in terms of, just here's what we know now, here's what we're hoping for. The biggest challenge that I see that they're going to have is if this isn't operating on August the 14th, it's going to be another, oh my heavens, here we go again. So they've said, we're aiming towards this date. But the problem is anybody that's taking transit, especially when you're starting to think about the back to school piece, people starting to think about transit and heading back into September. I mean, in many ways, it happened in the summer lull, which is actually a good thing at this point. But when you think about, sort of that date, is if you don't make that date, then people think, oh my heavens, here we go again, Lindsay.
Yeah, and it's a problem of, and governments and transit authorities should always, good advice is always sort of, manage expectations and exceed expectations, right? It's better to temper expectations and then deliver better performance than anticipated. If they don't have this sorted out on that time frame, and even though that many things are out of their control, you don't put out that date.
No.
Understanding of what's achievable, what's possible. If they didn't meet that timeline, it would be really devastating in terms of public trust. That being said, I do always feel like, especially for Ottawa listeners, I feel like, just a little bit of an empathetic feeling. My Toronto apartment is on a streetcar line that hasn't operated in 4.5 years. And there's no end date in sight. So this is not a unique to Ottawa problem of the fact that I aimed to live on a transit line that has not operated in 4.5 years.
Wow.
So we're in this together.
We're in this together, absolutely. Jennifer, what do you think about putting a date out like that? And I'm really sensitive to the fact that people want to date, but yet if you put out the date and it doesn't work, then it seems, it's hard.
It's a no-win. I mean, if you just said, we don't know when it will be back, people will be very angry. To the point about planning, right? How do I plan for this? My hope is that they think they can do it in 5 days, so they gave themselves 10. Not that they need 10 days, so they gave themselves 10, right? I really hope they built in a pad there. And if they didn't, I would say next time, build in a pad. Right. Generally that's a rule when you're setting timelines for things, is always give room for that just in case. So I do think they need some sort of date. I think if they just gave nothing, there was a period there where it was like, we don't know, that really is hard for people to take as well.
Very hard. I noticed that you slipped in the next time into that sentence that you just said too. We hope there's not a next time, Jennifer, but absolutely. We've got lots to talk about. Jennifer Madigan's going to come back. Lindsay Maskell's going to be here. I'm going to be here. And well, we want you to come back. Have lunch with us here on City News.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Every year, dozens of Canadians are killed or seriously injured because they take risks around railway tracks. Talk to your loved ones about rail safety. Visit stoptracktragedies.ca.
Hello, I'm Jim Deeks, host of Canada Files. I hope you'll join me each week for interesting and informative discussions with some of Canada's most impressive people.
We can be hurt. We can be bruised. We can be broken. Slowed down, confused, and even numbed. But we can't be defeated. We're built on a foundation that's strong, our mission unwavering, and together we'll beat as one.
Send them home! Get rid of them! Gentlemen, please. And so, this organ, which I regret I cannot name because of the presence of these members of the weaker sex, who, although they are married, could not possibly endure... Get them out.
Patience, Ginny. Patience.
Get them out!
Dr. McFarlane!
Mrs. Trout.
There's no place for women in a medical school.
Get them out!
If you do not bring this classroom under control, I am going to repeat every word of this disgusting lecture to your charming wife.
My friend Jenny Trout was not the only woman to face this kind of thing in medical school. But she would become the first woman licensed to practice medicine in Canada.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too. Al-Anon and Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Rogers TV presents a series of original creative stories animated by storytellers for children of all ages. Join us for Ottawa Storytellers.
It's a new season of The New Fly Fisher on Rogers TV.
The Sam Laprade Show continues on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Thank you so much for joining us here on City News. We are talking all things today with Jennifer Madigan and Lindsay Maskell. Jennifer Madigan, of course, Executive Vice President of Media and Communications with Syntax Strategic. And, of course, Lindsay Maskell, Liberal strategist and former advisor to Dalton McGuinty. Jennifer, did you play soccer, or do you play soccer now at all? Did you ever play as a kid?
No, I'm a terrible athlete. But my kids have played soccer.
There you go. The reason I ask is I was kind of a basketball girl myself, although I was horrible, but I showed up. But my daughter plays soccer as well, and we had a conversation earlier today regarding women's soccer, girls soccer here in Canada with Kim Bresser. She's with Future Girls Soccer. Here's what she had to say.
Girls and boys, 8-year-olds, 9-year-olds, they're practicing all the time. Whereas in soccer, our competitive players are restricted. They are only allowed to practice so many times a week. They're only allowed to play one game. They're not allowed to travel certain distances.
And it's so interesting because soccer, it really has become, such a big sport here in Canada. Usually, you sort of see it in Europe, but it's gained a lot of popularity here. But, we hear from Christine Sinclair, Jennifer, that, we're not investing enough into girls and women in order to play on the global stage. How do you feel?
Yeah, well, it's interesting. She's been pointing out that other countries are investing more in this most latest World Cup. You could see the difference, and so I think it clearly pays off if there's more investment. I'm excited about the fact that there is a professional league coming here for Canada, for Canadian girls, even just something for them to be working toward as they, if they start in the sport and they enjoy the sport. But I think it would make a difference if we want to succeed on the world stage, as they have done so well previously.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. How do you feel, Lindsay?
Well, my mom actually sent me a clip about this and reminded me of when I used to have to race my high school members of the men's high school football team for the track space, the infield track space.
Oh, wow.
So the track and field team versus the football team. I'm a huge proponent of team sports, and I am unfortunately just old enough that we were, there weren't that many women's team sports when I was in high school. Mm-hmm. It has changed dramatically, but I also think that makes a difference in both the way that we network, the way that we learn how to work together. If you think about that traditionally, when we're in, I was in dance, I was in figure skating, and the best thing I loved was getting to be on a track team. There was no basketball team, there was no volleyball team, there was no soccer team, and this is in 1997.
Right.
So it's shocking to me that wasn't available to me, and the benefits of team sports, and also just how fantastic our Canadian women have been doing fell behind in something where we do want to be a world leader. We're such a developed country. This is a thing we have the ability to support and should be supporting our athletes, and particularly when it allows women to aspire and dream to be in the world of professional sports, which really hasn't been something that was available to women in the past.
For sure, and get paid equally, right? So the equity needs to be there for sure. Let's switch gears a little bit. I want to talk about the weather. In the last number of weeks, we know that this area has experienced a lot of weather that's caused a lot of destruction. It's definitely been very, very challenging for many families, especially in the Barrhaven area that are out of their homes because of the tornado that touched down here recently. And we know, of course, last week as well there was some weather that caused huge pieces of hail. A couple of my friends were posting pictures on their social media of the hail that was landing in their yards in the Quebec area, and of course here in Ottawa. We know we're under a tornado watch right now. A number of communities affected. I'm just going to mention a few that are within our listening range, but we know that Prescott, Russell, Petawawa, Pembroke, Cobden, Barry's Bay, Killaloe, Renfrew, Armprior, Calabogie, Smiths Falls, of course, Perth, the Lanark County, Sharbot Lake, of course Ottawa, including Canada, Orleans, the Richmond area, Ottawa South, Metcalfe. So you get the idea. This is far and wide for this tornado watch. But let me ask you, Jennifer, in terms of weather, I mean, we need to pay attention to these alerts on our phone. We need to pay attention to what we hear from meteorologists. I mean, I think more than ever we need to take this seriously.
Yeah, I mean, it used to be that you would get it, and I'll be honest, I didn't take much attention to it. I didn't really do anything. But now, when those watches or alerts happen, it seems like it a tornado touches down, or we have these, like, we see that they're actually happening. So when they come through, I get anxious now. And I notice within my family group, there starts to be messages, okay, we're going down to the basement. And it scares me. It really scares me, especially as a parent with young children, not only for what could happen right now, but what's going to happen in their future, because this seems to be happening so much.
Yeah, it's a really good point. And Lindsay, the last tornado that went through, my daughter was working at Saunders Farm, so you can imagine what was going through my mind. They took it very seriously, and I'm so glad to see that. But she's out there again today, so I send her off and say, have a great day, and just to let you know, there's a tornado warning. Those are, a watch, I should call it. These are conversations we didn't have before either, Lindsay.
No, it's really changed a lot in the last number of years. Like, I remember my hometown, our area was devastated by a major tornado in 1999, and we'd never had one in that area. People weren't expecting it. We did not know, we did not anticipate the amount of damage to businesses and homes and farms. So the big thing is, not only is it scary to people about their planning, but also, do we have a plan in place, both with your insurance and cleanup and what we would do, and how are we prepared for the kind of extreme weather we've been having because of climate change, and do we need to adapt things to be better prepared for this?
For sure. We were going to be, of course, following this on City News. We'll bring you any of that breaking news as we hear it. I'll interrupt an interview if I have to, as we've done before here in the past. Our news team, afternoons here on City News, they are absolutely on this story, and if we hear anything, obviously we'll bring it to you quite quickly. I want to end today on a little bit of a fun note. Jennifer, earlier today, around 5 after 10, I was given the go-ahead to share some pretty big news that Rogers Communications is very proud to be presenting Taylor Swift. The Eras Tour is coming to Canada. This is in 2024, November 6 dates. I can't believe we're talking about it already.
I know.
A couple of my friends were like, 2023. I'm like, no, 2024. So it's Rogers Centre in Toronto. Are you a big Swiftie, Jennifer?
Well, I'm not, but my daughter is huge. And so, yes, all the messages have been going around today. I may or may not have been sent the link to pre-register to buy the tickets. And you're right, it's crazy. I'm like, this is so far away.
Yeah.
Who knows? But I mean, gosh, she's so huge. And, I love listening to her music as well, but my daughter's a super huge
For sure. I'll tell you, I've registered. I've been waiting about 90 minutes now, and it's still twirling. Everyone here at the newsroom is laughing at me because I'm like, it keeps twirling. It keeps twirling. I'm still waiting. But everybody's doing the same thing, Lindsay, trying to get registered to get those tickets on Ticketmaster for Taylor Swift. Are you a big fan?
I am, and I am not shy about admitting it. I think it might actually be in my profile online. I have more than one computer going. We made an account for my partner.
Oh, that's so funny.
To be able to have more than one iron in the fire. And I actually was successful in the first round and went and saw her show in Nashville.
Oh, wow.
And it was worth every cent. It was very fun. So I might be old enough to not have had women team sports, but my musical tastes have taken me to Taylor Swift and BTS concerts, and I'm really proud about it.
There you go. I love it. Don't be shy about it. I love it. My daughter is, of course, we haven't chatted about it yet because I've been on air, but I know she's going to be like, have you registered, Mom?
Yeah.
So anyway, fingers crossed that, you hope that everybody that wants tickets can get it. It's going to be impossible. But at the same time, we're just so excited to see that Taylor Swift hasn't forgotten about her friends up north and coming to Rogers for those 6 shows in 2024 in November. Thank you so much for having lunch with me, Jennifer Madigan and Lindsay Maskell. Hey, let's go out with a little Taylor Swift here on City News.
Laprade will be right back on City News.
101.1 FM and
October 5th, 2014, my daughter was hit by a train. She was walking along the sides of the tracks, and it shattered her world.
This is a brain in urgent need of mental health care. But because 3 out of every 4 Indigenous people experience racism in healthcare, she may not get the help she needs. Become an ally. Rise above racism in healthcare.
Hey everybody, my name is Karen. I'm here with my best friends Shane and Monique. Join us on Rogers TV for Fitness Faction. Every week we're going to take you through a full body workout. We've got strength training, we've got cardio, we've got HIIT. Ladies, let's get back into it.
I think we've got 10 more skaters. Let's go.
Play 4 games of bingo from the comfort of your own home each Monday at 7 p.m. for your chance to win money from our $2,000 regular bingo or $5,000 super bingo night. Kiwanis TV Bingo, Mondays at 7 p.m. on Rogers TV.
Bum, 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 bum.
$20. $20. We're on the line for $20.
Number 1 for local news, traffic, and weather for Ottawa and the Valley. This is City News 1011 everywhere.
It's Thursday, the 3rd of August. Good afternoon. I'm Perushka Gopal-Kista. Right now, 23 degrees in Ottawa, 22 in Smiths Falls. Now we're under a tornado watch. Here's what's making news right now. Hydro Ottawa crews standing by for possible storm conditions this afternoon. In an email to their customers, the company is saying that they will prioritize public safety issues and emergencies first before tackling any damaged infrastructure if there are those storms this afternoon. Now, once that's addressed, they plan to tackle any outages, starting with the largest and then going to one of the smaller issues in different communities. But in the meantime, they're advising residents to charge up any electronics and have flashlights ready beforehand. Now, Ottawa Transit officials expected to announce more details today about the work required to get the trains back on the tracks. The O train has been out of service since July 17th, and the preliminary date to get that service returned is August 14th. Now, details on the risk assessment report due today. That's from the engineering firm hired by the Rideau Transit Group, RTG. OZ Transpo saying the report should outline the risk profile associated with different number of factors. City News Time, it's 12:31. I'm Perushka Gopal-Kista for news anytime. Follow up online at ottawa.citynews.ca.
The Business Lunch on City News, brought to you by the Ottawa Business Journal.
The Sam Laprade Show continues on City News
1011 FM and 1310 AM.
Well, hi, everyone. It is the OBJ Business Lunch here on City News, where we talk all things business, which we appreciate you joining us here every day. We check out the OBJ for some great stories. We're going to be heading to Kemptville a little bit later. Lots happening in Kemptville. I don't know if you've been there lately, but we wanted to speak with Stacey Johnson from the Kemptville Farmers Market, so that's going to be a great chat. We're also going to talk about the Kemptville Creek Tap Room and speak with representatives there. So we're going to be be chatting about all things Kemptville in a little bit. We always love this opportunity to head to other communities as well and promote businesses in that area. And it's not lost on me. We speak a lot here on City News about the CEBA loans and how businesses are really struggling right now to pay back some of those loans. Some businesses have paid them back, and they've been able to do that. And of course, when they've been paid back, that means that there's been that forgiveness of part of the loan, usually about $10,000. But for those that are struggling to pay back that loan, I'm really hoping that when the House sits again, the Prime Minister brings everybody back to the House, that it's an opportunity for them to address this issue and maybe even extend it by a year. Maybe it's 2 years. Maybe it's another formula. But I'm thinking about all those small businesses that have those CEBA loans, and I was really hoping that the Prime Minister was going to get that done before they went on summer break, so some of those business leaders could be sleeping at night. I know it's keeping a lot of people up. Let's be honest. Inflation's keeping a lot of people up. Job performances in terms of the tight labor market and just the opportunity to try and find talented people to work in your company has all been the pressures as well. We wanted to speak with Sandra Lavoie today, Regional Director for Ottawa for Robert Half. Hi, Sandra.
Hi, Sam. How are you?
Good. I know you've done some research on behalf of Robert Half in terms of professionals worried about inflation outpacing salary increases. This is top of mind for so many, Sandra.
Yes, it is. And, what's interesting, even with the uncertainty in the economy, people are still looking for another position or another job so they can increase their salaries because the inflation is so high.
And I think, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
And I think that what's really interesting about this, Sam, is that, keep in mind, our unemployment numbers are still lower than February 2020. We were averaging pre-pandemic around 5.7%. Right now, we're sitting at 5.4. Mm-hmm. And then if you're looking in specialized skill like accounting, finance, IT, it's much lower. It's full employment.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. And when we think about economic times, we think about somebody with a variable mortgage that just keeps getting those letters from the bank indicating that payment has gone up. In many cases, some people each, maybe they would have had 2 mortgage payments a month bi-weekly. Now the amount of those 2 payments is equaling a whole other mortgage payment. I mean, these are very serious pieces that people are facing at the kitchen table, and they're feeling the pressure when they go to work, and they're, like you say, they're going on job sites looking for other opportunities. It puts pressure on families, on activities. On this time of year, people expect a vacation. I mean, it's challenging.
Yes, it is. And also when you add that stress to an employee and you're asking them also now to come back in the office, even sometimes as a hybrid, they lose engagement level, and it affects the business's culture. Yeah. And one of the things I will say to employers is make sure you communicate with your employees and what is top of mind for our employees. And if you want to retain them, that is key, is communication.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. And from a manager perspective, I managed people for a long time. It's one of the most difficult parts, I think, of work, to be honest, is trying to keep a project going and trying to make sure everybody else's needs are met and doing your own work. I mean, it is a challenging role to be a manager. Adapting a team structure and responsibility changes, that's come out on top of some of the stresses that managers are feeling too.
Absolutely. And as a manager, you're representing the organization or your company. They're dealing with higher interest rates to operate their business. They're doing cost-cutting measures. They're really working at, how many people do I need? How lean do I need to go? And that stress and anxiety, is transferred to employees, but employees know they've got options still.
Mm-hmm. It's definitely challenging, and just the stress and anxiety that people are feeling. And I think about even somebody that went through the tornado a couple of weeks ago. They're probably not performing at their top if they're out of their home right now and they're feeling lots going on in their own personal lives. It's hard to make sure that keeping all of that balanced.
Yes, and it's really important for, as I said earlier, speak to the managers need to speak to employees, and they need to understand and also be transparent to an employee. Look, this is our challenge. This is what we need from you. What do you need from us? And try to come to a common agreement. Mm-hmm. And, people are worried about having to go back in full time, not just because to work there, but the cost of going back in, because some have given up before and after school daycare, a bus pass or LRT or parking or whatever, and gas. That's huge for them. And that's what they're concerned also. We see it even in our organization.
Yeah, interesting. I always appreciate your time, Sandra, and always bring some interesting, timely advice to us. Thanks for joining us here on City News.
Thank you very much. Take care. Have a great day.
You too. Sandra Lavoie joining us, Regional Director for Ottawa for Robert Half. Appreciate her time. Definitely some interesting comments there. Tomorrow, Michael Curran's going to join us. He is, of course, the publisher of the Ottawa Business Journal. He's been doing that for over 25 years. We're going to get some comments from Michael in terms of what's happening and the effects of Bill C-18. So Michael Curran's going to join us tomorrow on the OBJ Business Lunch and talk about that. Yesterday we had Charlie Senek join us talking about the Kitchissippi Times and what it'll mean for the Kitchissippi Times, when he was saying sometimes 50 to 75% of their links to articles that they've written for the Kitchissippi Times were being shared on Facebook, and that going away with Bill C-18 will be very difficult for that. So we're going to get the perspective of Michael Curran tomorrow. He's going to join us as well. Lots of guests being lined up for tomorrow. We're always working on great guests for you, so we look forward to that. We're going to be heading to Kemptville as well and talk about some businesses in Kemptville. And in case you've been working all morning and you've had your head down, you've been keeping busy at work, you may not have heard the very big news today. About 5 after 10 this morning, we got the big news from Rogers Communications, which of course is the parent company of this radio station here at City News. Rogers Communications announced today, very proud to present Taylor Swift. The Eras Tour is coming to Canada. The Prime Minister even got involved in this a number of weeks ago. He put out a tweet saying, "Come on, Taylor, come to Canada." He knows what a big economic boom that will mean for Toronto in 2024. November 14th, 15th, 16th. So 3 concert dates there. Then a couple of days off for her and her team, and then back for November 21st, 22nd, and 23rd. Once again, this is in 2024. So not this year. We're kind of moving ahead in 2024. It's all going to take place at the one and only Rogers Centre. If you've seen anything there, maybe it's a game or you've checked out another concert there. It will be a great venue to have Taylor visit Canada. We know that a lot of cities are saying, why isn't she coming to our city? But we're just happy to have her coming to Canada, and maybe she will love and fall in love with Canada and tour all around. But lots of people looking forward to seeing Taylor at the Eras Tour. We know that Ticketmaster is looking for you to be a verified fan. So if you're looking to do that, get on there and be verified. There's lots of other ways. Amex usually is a front of the line, so you can jump on with Amex potentially and get some ticket availability prior to them going on sale. That's a possibility. Not sure if that's going to be the case, but Eric Alper is a publicist and music commentator. He suggested that might be something. If you're a Swiftie and you've got some sort of other connection through the club, sort of a fan club, that might be an opportunity. We know there's going to be some contesting with Rogers, so we'll definitely keep you in the loop if we hear any of that coming your way. But all those details, of course, will continue to be shared here on City News. We're having a bit of a Taylor Swift day. There's a lot of excitement in our newsroom about this today, so we appreciate sharing that big news with you today. When we come back, let's take a road trip. Let's head all the way to beautiful Kemptville. Stay with us on City News.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Every year, dozens of Canadians are killed or seriously injured because they take risks around railway tracks. Talk to your loved ones about rail safety. Visit stoptracktragedies.ca.
Hello, I'm Jim Deeks, host of Canada Files. I hope you'll join me each week for interesting and informative discussions with some of Canada's most impressive people.
I'm Derek Fage, and I encourage you to join me each and every weekday at 2 p.m. for an edition of Daytime Ottawa. We will share with you some fabulous stories, inspirational stories, and of course, recipes from local chefs. We'll tell you about some wonderful musical performances, introduce you to local businesses and charities, and so much more. Join us here on Daytime Ottawa at 2 p.m. weekdays with repeats at 6 and 11 p.m.
It isn't the heavy trays that make the job difficult, or the fast pace you need to keep up. It's not working another double because someone called in sick. What makes the job tough is the moment you realize a customer has had enough, and you have to make that decision not to overserve. Refusing service isn't personal, it's the law. We know it's not easy, but we're counting on you to keep us all safe. Thank you, servers, for doing the tough job.
I'm Julian Armour from Music and Beyond. Join us for a new show this spring on Rogers called Music and Beyond Presents.
I'm Wendell Clark with a word about winning. We all know it takes a team effort in any sport and with any challenge. You can be a part of the winning team that shuts out impaired driving. Whether you're out on the town or just hanging out with friends, drink responsibly. Always have a plan for a safe ride home for yourself, your family, and your friends. You'll be helping to shut out impaired driving.
Visit ArriveAlive.org to find out more. Arrive Alive. Drive sober.
Rogers TV presents a series of original creative stories animated by storytellers for children of all ages. Join us for Ottawa Storytellers.
It's a new season of The New Fly Fisher on Rogers TV.
The Sam Laprade Show continues on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Okay, I have to tell you, I'm going a little bit crazy, the fact that Taylor Swift is coming to Canada, because if you want to get tickets, of course, this is for 2024, November 14th, 15th, 16th, and November 21st, 22nd, 23rd. I've been waiting about 90 minutes to get verified on Ticketmaster, and it just happened for me. I'm so excited. So if you're trying to do the same thing, it is really the first step to get any tickets. You have to be patient. I was not as patient as I probably should have been, but I wanted to just give that word to you that if you're trying to get these tickets, of course, happening at the Rogers Centre in November of 2024, if you're trying to register to be a verified fan, it takes some time. So just to let you know. Okay, let's head all the way to Kemptville because I want to have a great conversation today with Stacey Johnson. Hi, Stacey.
Hi, how are you?
Wonderful. Stacey Johnson from the Kemptville Farmers Market. Tell me what's happening out there, Stacey.
We've got lots happening. It's been a great season this year. We're welcoming about 50 vendors each week, a variety of fresh, local grown produce, as well as many crafters. We have soap, honey, maple syrup, coffee, fresh cut flowers.
That's wonderful.
Pretty much anything you like. You can come have lunch for the day too. We've got local music. Local bands play each Sunday for a few hours. We have picnic tables, and if you're coming for lunch, you can have. We have the retired chef has his shawarmas. We have fire oven pizza, Thai food, as well as weekly vendors that filter through
Okay, Stacey, you're making me hungry now because it's lunchtime. We don't get to have lunch here on City News because we're putting on a radio show, so we're kind of hungry. But that's fantastic to share all of that. And I have to say, your website is beautifully laid out, and it's even a feast for the eyes to see all of the pictures you have here, encouraging people and inspiring them to come out and see you. A big list of vendors here as well that look all very friendly and welcoming to have people visit. So this is just on Sundays, correct?
Correct. Every Sunday, middle of May through the end of October, from noon until 4 p.m.
Okay, well, that's great.
And we're actually in the parking lot of the B&H Grocer, which is a third-generation independent grocer, not your independent grocer, an independent grocer. Their family has kept their name, B&H, for years, and he is a massive supporter of the KFM.
Oh, I love that. And what I love, too, is I'm seeing the vendor application form here. And right there you say, all vendors must grow or, in brackets, raise, bake or cook or make the products that they vend. This is really putting you in a whole other category because I've been to vendors markets before and it feels a bit like a garage sale sometimes. And this does not sound like that at all. It sounds the exact opposite.
No, for sure. We are one of the last local traditional farmers and producers markets. So everything there has been lovingly crafted or grown by our very talented vendors.
Well, that's wonderful. I love seeing that. So encouraging people to visit obviously your market and get a chance to spend time with all of you out there. It feels a bit old school, but in the best way, Stacey.
Yeah, definitely. I always joke it's a rustic country market, so it's not going to be as maybe flashy as some of the ones you'll find in the city, but it's fun and we're approachable. It's very community driven. Mm-hmm. All of the vendors, they become friends through the season. One of my favorites is seeing them bartering. Kind of trading their goods. Yeah. By the end of the day, it's so much fun. It's my favorite place to spend a Sunday.
Oh, that's wonderful. And what I love about it is we used to think Kemptville was far. It's not far anymore. When you think about communities like Richmond and Manotick and North Gore and Barhaven even. I mean, it's a very quick drive down the 416 and Kemptville's just growing. I mean, even every time I go there, I think, oh, where did that come from?
Yeah, it's definitely a growing hub.
Well, that's wonderful. Well, we look forward to seeing you. I'm going to pick a Sunday and come out and visit all of you, Stacey, and get all those great goods. And I'm already got my eye on some pastries there. So.
Oh, yeah. So some great bakers for sure. Make sure to bring your cooler and we can help you fill it up.
Yeah, that's a great tip. Thank you so much. Stacey Johnson joining us today from the Kemptville Farmers Market. Put it on your plans. It's it's the long weekend coming up, so maybe you want to head out and see Stacey and all of her friends there. We wanted to keep in the community of Kemptville today and speak with Darren Givake. How are you, Darren?
Hi, Sam. I'm doing great, and thanks for having me on the show.
Darren, I'm always so sensitive to say people's names the right way. Did I say your name correctly?
Well, you gave it a good try. It's actually Javog.
Javog. Okay, there you go. Okay, yeah. I will try and do my best as we say goodbye to you today. Okay. But we got lots to talk about before we say goodbye. So let's talk a little bit about the Kemptville Creek Tap Room. Tell me all about it.
Well, actually, yes, Sam, a group of people got together about 2 years ago, and we were looking at trying to establish a brewery here in Kemptville or North Grenville, per se. So, the whole concept came about basically from a bunch of people hanging out together and saying, geez, it would be really nice if rather than hanging out in someone's garage and having drinks, we could find a place locally that kind of catered to the craft market, the craft beer market, the craft spirit market, and also gave people an opportunity to spend time together, like out playing pool and socializing, maybe seeing live music. So at the time, about 8 of us got together. We said, let's see what we can do. Let's put our money where our mouth is and put it into a hat and see if we can figure something out here. Quite a number of us are business people. We all have full-time jobs, but many of us had experience working in the business field. So we kind of put our heads together and started working towards trying to open a tap room that would be dedicated to to craft beer and craft spirits. We had a lot of trouble, though, I'm not going to lie. For 2 years, we struggled with finding a location. We went through 5 different places. We created a great business plan, cash flow analysis, market analysis. We did all the right things we needed to do. I think one of the challenges we were facing in Kemptville is yes, it's growing. The residential crowd or population is growing quite fast, and the families that are coming here, it's amazing. Challenge is that a lot of the land, there's not a lot of land available within the town, and the commercial units that are available, most of them, it's hard to find something that's compatible or that you can use.
So the dream isn't over then?
No, we were very fortunate, actually. The Ottawa Valley News ran an article a few weeks back about our challenges in trying to get things rolling, and because we were at one point we were not necessarily giving up, but we said, we're going to have to put a pin in this until something comes available. And sure enough, we put an article out in the paper, and we've had about 3 or 4 responses from people wanting to get involved, invest money, and we're hoping for possibly someone in the community that maybe owns a commercial property that's interested in selling that it's not on the market yet, that wants to talk to us.
Yeah, so that's fantastic. I mean, when you think about Kemptville, you don't think about nightlife, right? So is this one of the things you're trying to do?
That's exactly it. Like we kept hearing, especially through the market analysis, that we kept hearing from people in the community that it's a beautiful town. It's so close to Ottawa. Unfortunately, the nightlife, the town kind of shuts down at 6 o'clock. And for the younger crowds that are moving out here, the younger families, they're thinking, okay, if we're going to go out, we have to travel into the city. So many people were saying it would be great to have some type of a nightlife here, or some opportunities for us to go out and stay in the community.
Absolutely. Well, I hope the next time we chat, you say, "Hey, Sam, we found a partner and we're ready to go," and it would be great.
Yeah, and you know what, Sam, I'll make sure that you get one of the first invites, and we'll pour you the first cold draft off one of the kegs.
Okay, well now, I'm holding you to it, so just so you know. Yeah, that's fantastic, Darren. Thanks for your time today.
Okay, Sam. Take care.
Darren Givke joining us today from the Kemptville Creek Tap Room. We appreciate his time very much. Lots happening in this city, from Kemptville all the way to Navan. We're very excited about the Navan Fair, which is coming up very quickly from August 10th to the 13th. Yesterday, we gave a pair of tickets away. Nick was the big winner yesterday. Well, we're going to give another pair away right now, so you want to call us 613-750-1310. That number again, 613-750-1310. To the 5th caller, we're very excited about the Navan Fair. If you haven't been, it really is one of those community fairs that's so fun to get connected with the community. Everybody's there. Everybody's there. There's demolition derbies. There's lots of concerts. We spoke with Biff Naked yesterday. She's going to be there. She's so cool. So she's going to be there. And hey, listen, City News is going to be there. I'm going to be there on Saturday. We're going to be live on location. I'm going to be there getting to meet all of you. And I know one of my favorite people, Wyatt McWilliams, he's a farmer out in Navan. He'll be there. The councillor, Catherine Kitts, she'll be there. Lots of people visiting. I'm sure Mayor Mark Sutcliffe will head out there as well. But it's great family fun. There's a midway there. Lots of great stuff happening there in Navan. So we want to make sure that all of you have a chance to visit. There's a big parade that happens on the midway, of course, the Saturday morning parade and breakfast. There's a horse and alpaca show, which is always very, very popular. Tractor pulls, concerts, as I mentioned. There's a big 50-50 draw that happens. Paul Fortin. Congratulations to Paul. He is our winner of 2 tickets to the Navan Fair. The phones absolutely went on fire for these tickets. We're going to be giving away another pair tomorrow, so don't fear. You might have a chance to win tomorrow, so you want to listen to us tomorrow here on City News. I'm Sam Laprade. A big thank you to my producers. Could not do it without them. Aaron and Noah are behind the scenes, but making sure that all things work beautifully today. Lots of excitement in the news newsroom. I know you're going to hear about it all afternoon as well. Taylor Swift is coming to Toronto, to Rogers Centre. Rogers Communications made that big announcement a couple of hours ago. And of course, Rogers is the parent company of this radio station. So we're pretty proud too. Taylor Swift coming in November of 2024. Lots coming for you. Stay with us all afternoon on City News.
You've been listening to the Sam Laprade Show.
Tune in again for local news and community views on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.